Good morning. Hey guys, what's up? We are back with day 6 of the Matriarch Mastermind murder trial, Florida v. Donna Adelson. I hope it's not as boring as it was yesterday. Yesterday was horrible. Horrible. We listened to awful surveillance video and phone calls yesterday. Poor quality. Even they gave us the transcripts, it was too blurry to read. It was a horrible. Wiggles, are you serious? Aren't they amazing? Did you what is the new one? Or I should say the newest one. I've not seen that one yet. It's like Queen of Hearts' daughter or something like that. Did you watch that one? I've not seen that one. The zombie movies, I've only ever watched the first one, and I wasn't that impressed with it. But there's like 4 now, so I guess it must be good. It must have gotten better. Court is having tech issues. Really? Great. Well, we're starting late, so we won't have tech issues for a while. Let's see. Georgia Kappelman began her legal career in 2001 at the state's attorney's office. She started as a deputy assistant state attorney and eventually became the chief assistant state's attorney. She is an adjunct professor at Florida State University College of Law, teaching juvenile justice. She coaches the mock trial team, mentoring aspiring lawyers. Well, we won't hold that against her. Go Gators! Y'all, I did not go to the University of Florida, but I did work on campus. I worked for Shands Hospital, which is technically not... Okay, I wasn't employed by UF. It's crazy. The doctors that work at Shands are employed by UF. The nurses are not. I don't understand why. But the hospital is on campus. When I planned on going back for my bachelor's and master's degree, I would have been going to the University of Florida. However, my health derailed my career, so I didn't get to go. But I am a diehard UF fan. And college football starts when, Judy? This weekend? I can't wait. Except I don't get to watch the games because I don't have like regular TV. I won't have streaming services. So I have to find it on a streaming service to watch it if it plays. So. Hey, Teresia. So. Okay, let's go ahead and get started before my breakfast gets cold that I just made tomorrow. Yay! I don't know if I'll get to see the Gators play anytime soon, but oh, okay. Yes. Wiggles works for DirecTV. Get bootleg Gator games. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Please as well, while we are exchanging witnesses, if you walk out, please remain outside the door until the witness has finished their testimony or we are changing witnesses. Also as well, while the testimony is occurring, there's not to be any head shaking and gesturing, anything that would indicate that you are either agreeing or disagreeing with what is taking place. Again, there cannot be any improper influence on the jurors as they are watching and listening to the evidence. Any questions? All right, we're going to have a brief break this morning before we get started, or I should say, Before we actually get started,
Hey,
there's
Nichelle.
going to be about 30 minutes. If you need to stretch your legs, use the phone, get you water, things of that nature, please do it now. You can tell the jurors as well it'll be about 30 minutes.
Why are we taking a break first thing? Are they doing something with the lawyers? Oh, joy. He's back on the stand, y'all. This is why I like to start late. If we'd started on time, we'd be sitting here for a half an hour. See, it worked out perfect.
With the examination of Special Agent Sanford at this time. The student is Kappelman. Is he on his way to the stand? Special Agent, you remember your oath to tell the truth and only swear in again, but the all matters truthfully during the remainder of your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may be seated. Ms. Kappelman, you may continue with the state's direct examination.
Thank you, Judge. All right, so we concluded the wire calls yesterday. When, in relation to that wire, or just when were the arrests made in this case? Let's start with Sigfredo Garcia. When was he arrested?
It was May 24th or 26th, somewhere around there, of 2016.
Okay, and Luis Rivera?
A few days after that, I served him in the prison.
Okay, he was already in prison for an unrelated offense?
That's correct. He was already in prison.
So also May of 16?
That's correct.
Hey, Rob.
Okay, and what about Catherine Magbanoa? When was she arrested?
I don't remember the exact date. Could I refresh my memory with notes?
Yes. Do you have the notes with you?
I did.
Okay.
It was on 10/1 of 16.
Okay. And then do you have the exact dates on the other two in there as well?
I do. Mr. Adelson was arrested on 4/21 of 22. And
Garcia and Rivera was.
oh, Garcia and Rivera, yes. Mr. Garcia was 5/25 of 16.
Okay.
And Rivera, I don't have Mr. Rivera's exact date. When, actually, it was the 6/3 of 16, I believe, is when we went back to interview him with the warrant.
Okay, so Garcia, 5/25 of 16, Rivera, 6/3 of 16, Magbanoa, 10/1 of 16. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And Catherine Magbanoa ultimately went to trial and was convicted, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and post-conviction, did she offer a proffer?
She did.
What is a proffer?
A proffer is an agreement with the defense and the prosecution to where she can come in and talk to us and tell us what happened without it being used against her.
All right, so that occurred on, I have October 11th of 22.
That's correct. That's the first proffer, yes, ma'am.
And were you present for her proffer on that date?
Yes, ma'am.
And also a follow-up interview with her on November 28th of that year, 22?
That's correct.
Okay, and at that point, the investigation
Hey, Carla.
had been ongoing for over 8 years at that point, right?
It had.
Okay, was there anything that Ms. Magbanoa revealed in her proffers that was new to us or that confirmed something that we had not known of before?
Yes, she told us about the first time that Mr. Charlie Adelson approached her and asked her if she knew someone that could take care of someone. She told us about that and when it was.
And she was able to give us the actual date that that occurs, right?
That's correct.
What was the date?
She said it was October 31st of 2013, like the year prior to the murder, on Halloween.
All right. And did she say where she was when that when the topic was first broached with her?
She did. She said she was on Lincoln Road at a party with Mr. Adelson.
All right. And were you able to discover any evidence to confirm that Mr. Adelson was in fact on Lincoln Road that night, as she claimed?
Yes, I was familiar with Lincoln Road because it's a popular road in South Beach. So we looked back and found a text message where Mr. Adelson said he was on Lincoln Road on Halloween.
I'm going to show you where I marked this 86B.
Well, that's a cheery party conversation.
Do you recognize 86B?
I do.
Is that the text message in question?
It is.
Is it a fair and accurate copy of that text message?
It is.
All right. Judge, I'd move into evidence 86B, please.
Any objection?
No objection.
86B is admitted at this time.
Who is the text to and who's it from?
It's from Charlie Adelson. It just has a number,
Unknown number.
an unknown number.
And what's the content of the text message?
The text message says, "On Lincoln with my friends, come meet us."
And on what date and time was that message sent?
It says 11/1/13 at 1:04 a.m. UTC.
So just after midnight on Halloween night.
That's correct.
And was there something else that you learned from this night panel that you hadn't known before?
Yes.
What was that?
She told us about the time that the night of the homicide, that she was going to Mr. Adelson's residence, and she believed that the Adelsons had been there.
So she admitted that she went to Charlie's house to pick up the money,
That's correct.
but then didn't end up leaving with it until the next morning. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. But the bit about that was new to us.
That was new, correct.
And then we've seen Sergeant Corbett's presentation, and I'll publish a slide from State's Exhibit 73 at this time. That's the slide where we were able to find the text indicating that Donna Adelson said she was outside Charlie's house that night.
That's correct.
All right. When was the defendant arrested?
Defendant was arrested on November the 13th of 2023.
Okay, and I think you told us when Charlie Adelson was arrested. Will you repeat that, please?
I believe it was 10/1 of 22. Oh, sorry. It was 4/1 of 20, 4/21 of 22.
4/21/22 for Charlie Adelson's arrest.
That was Charlie Adelson's arrest. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And shortly after Charlie Adelson's trial and conviction, was there a recorded call that was intercepted between Charlie Adelson and his mother, Donna Adelson?
Yes, there was.
And in that call, Did something happen that caused the defendant to be recorded longer than the conversation between her and Charlie? Can you just sort of explain? She thought she hung up, but she didn't hang up, right?
Correct. There was a jail call with Mr. Adelson, and at some point, he dropped off the call. She thought the call had hung up, so she just apparently set her phone down and didn't hit end on her end of the line.
And have you had an opportunity to review State's Exhibit 118, the recording of that call?
I have.
Judge, at this time, I'd ask to move into evidence State's Exhibit 118.
Any objection to 118? Status 118 is admitted at this time.
Permission to publish.
You may.
Is there any parties need headphones for this?
That would be helpful, Judge.
Look, I have, I didn't say this to you before I picked up the phone, but there's a lot of things that we have to do, and we've got a very tight time frame. So one of them involves taking care of some things for Roman, taking care of some things through Steinberg. It was just, Jad's been on the phone all day, and Susan was nice enough when I told her. She said, I'm going to gather everything up and I'm going to drive down. So she and Rick got here about, I don't know, 10 minutes before you called so that she could work with us, because we got a couple of hours of stuff to take care of for them. So, we're working on that, and,
Pause it. Sorry to do that to y'all with the headphones, but a couple questions just to follow up on what she said so far. She says she's taking care of a couple things for Roman. Who's Roman?
Roman is the child of Charlie Adelson, young child.
And she mentioned Susan and Rick on there. Do you know who those people are?
They're close friends of theirs.
Okay, sorry, continue publishing.
just a lot, but you're going to be okay. You're going to get out of that stupid room. Once you do, you'll start to feel a little bit better. I know that. And when I have something that I do need to tell you, I'll speak to Dan. Okay?
Sorry, one more time. She mentions Dan here. Obviously not Dan Markel. Do you know who she's referencing?
Yes, ma'am.
What Dan is she referencing?
Dan Rashbaum, who was Charlie's attorney.
All right. Thank you. Continue, please.
So, and I'll let you know what time to call him. Can you hear me, Charlie? Shit. You can't hear me again, right? Charlie, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm sorry, the fourth time that they cut the line each time. They for every minute, but they keep charging every time you reconnect. They say that doesn't happen. Listen, it's that he's in this room that. So the psychologist want to make sure he can kill himself. So the psychologist finally came. And he said to her, if you leave me here for myself, with no light, no nothing, I'm in a cement block. Let me go back. See where I am. Please don't leave me here. And spoke to him a little bit. She said, no, you're going to be fine. I know that. I just have to go back and, I've got to do these reports I have to write. Once I get those written and then submit them and then get them approved, you'll be able to go back. So he was just going back like in an hour. But that she said, okay, that's good because I'll lose my mind with you. It's all spirit on the inside. The all you see is yourself. The lights never shut off. day or night, the fluorescent lights, he says, all night. He said, I just want to go back where I was. But this, I know people, I could see people, he said, here, I'm in a box. And he's just, well, I mean, I'm sure he'll pull back and just keep getting disconnected. I can't push it. I'm not that strong. And I don't know how he is a year ahead. His body and everything is slowly starting to deteriorate. Come on, I have a life. We have a great marriage. Happy, we travel, we live good. I'm really not unhappy. And I want to know to just say goodbye. And that's why it doesn't painful. Please. We bought our cemetery property a couple of months ago. We're good. I'm good. But when you do this weekend, because I said something that made it feel like I had enough and I'm not going to watch. It's not going to go well. I know what I need to do. Now, something was wrong because we lived here 9 years. She's never once just come over. I hate so much. I'm sorry. Probably. Make sure not this all on day one. She sat down on the couch right there. I was sitting here, and she didn't say, this is a horrible night for all of us. Charlie got fucked for his life. It was all aggravated. But it isn't what you're thinking of. Just sat there. I on the direction. I'm not doing this. I'm fine. The voice tomorrow night? Yes, it's something I should do. Now, I have to go back. To go to sleep and not see my son. I do. Perfectly honest. I do. And you want me to do it? We'll do it together. Make a note of the Wednesday coming together. And we'll do it together. The boy. Look, they're making a decision at some point. So after speaking to Dan this morning and knowing what they're thinking up there, I don't know if we'll make it happen, so I really don't. But Dan said, you might, or you might do all of it, get to the airport, and that could happen. It could happen, I don't know, but it's worth a try. I just thought I was trying to turn it. I don't know what we're doing. But I don't know what we're doing. And we have to look at stuff. We're going into the what we would have. What was it? How was it normally done? Well, stipulations, which are who's in charge of to go through bond, fellowship, and trust. And then the going in partner and the president and the trustee. And so the trustee and the guardian. Guardian is the other. Then the trustee. On 30, somebody would be watching. So, in order to make some effort to respond and to call, which is I could sit here with you and say, would you do that? I can't because there we go. So you tell the guy to short. let me ask George. So I said, George, I said, Bob just told me my lawyer is the her lawyer is a judge. And I wrote back, not about the case. I have said, he said, sure. When I said, I just got over Charlie, he's worried about you. He wants to know what, this is, yeah. We know you never asked anything about your brother, but she doesn't, and she told me it's a lawyer that she should know. So we found out it's not true, but we just got off the phone with him.
And he had no attorney. No attorney said,
I never told her that.
I never could walk with that.
No. So I wrote this last night. We know you never asked anything about your brother. This is 8 o'clock last night. But we just got off the phone with him, and the first thing he asked was, how's Wendy holding up? I didn't have the heart to tell him that he never called up or asked about him. I just said, he worries up to phone calls right now. Everyone wants to protect you. I think you've got lots to think about.
Aw, she's trying not to cry.
And another call to Charlie. And I said, just got off the phone with Charlie. He is worried about you. He wants to know why we didn't speak. I told him a lie. I said, we're only speaking with you and Dan right now. I couldn't bear to tell them the truth. Your sister never even called us, is the truth. So she said this morning, I thought she'd be racing over here last night. Dear Mom, I know you are upset by the verdict, but the anger directed at me is not justified. I don't know how much anger there is. Really don't. I'm not responsible in any way for Charlotte's situation. I am not guilty. I did not do anything wrong, and I was not involved in any way with Danny's death, which she was. When I was interviewed by the police and testified in court, I told the truth, as I was required to do. I cannot control how the prosecutor used my statement to Charlie's trial. Again, I didn't say that. Also, as you know, my lawyer has advised me not to talk to my family or anyone else about this case. No, about the case, which is true, he's never done it. I followed his advice despite your disagreements with this guidance. Please do not text me about this case anymore. Not about the case, is it? Not what I said. That's a brother. And then one, how are you, Wendy? How's my sister holding up? Yes. If you have anything further to say about the case, please go through our lawyers. Right now, I have to be singularly focused on taking care of the boys during this difficult time. So I wrote back, okay, we have no desire to speak with you about the case. I guess Dad and I are just shocked that you didn't think of coming to see us or even calling us. We are your parents. We are and have always been there for you and the boys. None of what we wrote matters about the case. That's over. I just want you to know how many times Charlie's asking about you. Not only do you not ask about us, but not one question about Charlie, right? We will need to give you some information shortly, and we need some business assistance. Here, I want you to propose. We're going to be gone. I want you to have all this information. I have the cemetery property. I want her to see all that. I want her to have all these papers and the wills. I want her to see all this. So please let us know if you could be of any help. The other thing is the visa, which she would know about. But no, I said we need some business assistance. Please let us know. If not, we'll try to find someone who can help us. This needs an immediate reply so I can start asking other people to help. And then she always gets nervous if we want to talk to her. So I wrote, don't get nervous. Again, nothing in capital letters, nothing about the case. Just would like to show you some business stuff and personal things. If you can't do it, we must find someone who can. I hope to do with the case. There is no more case. And then I wrote, by the way, you said you have to focus on the boys, like you told them. So when I got George before, I said to him, because I was over there last night, I said, well, that's Wendy, but it hasn't got any words from her, so you can tell the boys. And he said, he did. Now I know Dan was very close. He was writing to Charles. So I said, how are they? He's been very quiet. He didn't really talk much. It was nothing time spaces and scripts so he's not coming home. He's never coming back. And so he did it for 10 minutes and he was in the bathroom. It was fine. He's a child. That's okay. I don't want to see them invisible in a death. That's not my goal. I just want to know how work is. So that's when I said so to do it because it was technical stuff that I couldn't do on the computer and it just was, we were out of it. So I gave the computer tech to the person, so I said, can you help me with some computer stuff that I can't get done? And he was on some business calls and said that he texted me just before I could be there, maybe 5:30, but that'd be good. I said, yeah, but if I can get stuff done, then it's enough.
I totally agree.
We have the photos. We have to get them downloaded, and the other thing I don't understand, I'm not sure to help me with it.
Wendy's in CYA mode.
If things change, if there is extradition from Vietnam. Because we've looked at all the places, I mean, I could go to Korea and China, but there's no extradition. But we're looking for places where there's no extradition. Who? Really? Maybe she knows that. Maybe she can look up the extradition issue before we go take their time. She can tell them that my family okay, but if you mention it to Wendy gonna tell somebody? You tell her beforehand, I need to tell you something as an attorney who doesn't talk and has nothing to do with the case. It just has to do with Mom and I, and some decisions that we have to make. Yeah, I know you want to bring her up and show her where everything is. Because if the plane crash, no one's going to know where anything is, or who belongs to what. So I would like her to come up here so she can see it. I don't think that's asking too much. She can live 3 hours a week. Every time she says, can you do this, can you come here, can you do this? Everything, how many times do we have plans that I know is cancel Wendy needs us for this, Wendy needs us to babysit. So we've been really good nannies, and I guess our job is done. Because now we're going to older cities. So out with friends, they can do things on their own. So she doesn't need to have her friends on. Okay, pretty much. I have one son that I don't speak with. I have one son that's supposed to be in jail. And my daughter.
She's too narcissistic. Couldn't get the word out. I think she's too narcissistic to do that, Nichelle. I really, really do. I can see where you're coming from, but I think she's just too narcissistic to do that. Narcissistic people think they're right. They think that they're, and especially with her having money, she thinks just money can solve all the problems. I don't see her doing that. Oh, absolutely fleeing. Yeah. That's exactly what she was doing. She thought, I'm going to go to Vietnam and they can't make me come back and that'll be the end of it. She thinks she's smarter than everybody else.
Oh, my love is doing this. I don't get it. I don't get it. I said to mother and me, God, our family was cursed. So we cursed. And then I had to take care of it anymore. So.
Wiggles, you about made me spit coffee everywhere.
So I have to decide shut off the sound because I'm sure you what we did. I would tell you to leave an address to put on the visa.
Attorneys can please approach Bridget. Cattleman, you may continue with your examination.
All right, so are you aware of the date that Charlie Adelson was convicted?
Yes.
What was that date?
It was November the 6th of 2023.
And was this recording that we just heard that same day after the conviction?
It was the day after the conviction on 11/7, November 7th.
All right, and we hear on this call that there appear to be some plans to potentially go to Vietnam. Are you familiar with that?
I am.
And based on this recording, did you do some investigative work to try to look into whether that was in fact really going to happen?
I did.
Okay, and what did you learn?
We didn't hear the call for a couple of days, so it was a few days later. But I did check with another government agency to try to find out if there was an international travel plan. And ultimately, on the 13th, I believe it was, I was told that, yes, there was travel plans made.
Okay, and were the travel plans to Vietnam?
They were to go through Dubai, then to Vietnam.
And is Vietnam in fact a non-extradition country?
It is.
And is Dubai also non-extradition?
That's correct, it is.
Okay, and when was that travel plan supposed to occur?
On the evening of November the 13th, 23.
And were you able to intercept the defendant prior to taking off on that airplane?
I was.
And where did you do that?
At the Miami International Airport, right through the gate check as they were boarding the plane on the jet bridge is what they call it.
And that was on November 13th, 23?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, as part of your apprehension of the defendant, did you seize her cell phone that she was in possession of at the time of her arrest?
I did.
All right, and did she willingly allow you to do that?
No, she did not.
How did that go?
No, she did not. She was not happy about that. I need to tell you guys something. I have a story today, but I think I'm going to wait till the morning break because I don't think this break's going to be long enough. I was all out of stories, and now I have a story. It's a good story. You guys are going to like it. But I'm going to wait.
The objection being withdrawn, Agent Sanford, you can answer the question if you recall what it was.
When you seized the defendant's cell phone, did she physically resist you?
Yes, she did.
Could you tell us about the physical resistance that she offered?
Yes, I reached out to the phone, and when I grabbed a hold of it, she pulled it away and said no, and then kept holding it away from me, trying to turn away from me. Another officer who was there arresting her actually grabbed her arm and held it, and then we were able to finally take the phone out of her hand, but she was still trying to keep it from us.
Right, and pursuant to her arrest, was there a search warrant executed at her residence at the Icon?
There was.
Okay, and did you handle that, or did another agent handle that?
Another police department handled it locally.
And are you familiar with the items that were seized during that search warrant?
I am.
Okay, and was there a planner, 2023 day planner seized pursuant to that search warrant?
There was.
And have you had an opportunity to review that planner?
I have.
Okay. Was there a planner available for 2014 that was seized at the search warrant?
Not seized at the search warrant, no ma'am.
That planner was provided to the state attorney's office by the defendant's prior counsel, though. Do you recall that?
That's my understanding, yes.
And did you review the copy of the 2014 planner, at least whatever was provided to our office by Ms. Adelson's attorney?
That's correct.
All right, I'm going to show you what I've marked as state's exhibit. 142. And some redactions have been made based on the parties' agreement, but other than that, I would ask if those excerpts are fair and accurate.
Yes, they are.
Moving to evidence 142.
Any objection?
No objection.
States 142 is admitted.
In the 2014 planner, did Mrs. Adelson keep a lot of personal information and identifying information for members of her family and even, I think, some friends in there too?
She did.
Okay. And as part of that information in the 2014 planner, did you locate any information specific to Dan Markel's vehicle?
We did.
What information was that?
is the '08 Accord on the left middle of the page, right there. It's the '08 Accord, and the tag number is 584YBM.
That's Dan Markel's tag number at the time of his murder.
It is.
Same vehicle that the killers pursued.
That's correct.
The flight that the defendant was attempting to board at the time of her arrest, is that a one-way flight or a round-trip flight?
It was a one-way flight.
No further questions.
Cross-examination.
Just a moment.
Members of the jury, before we move into the cross-examination, does anyone need to use the restroom? No hands have been raised.
We would request a brief recess, please.
That's fine. The bailiff will take you to the jury room. Even though not requested, please use the restroom at this time. Everyone can be seated. We'll take a break for a few minutes until 10:20. If anyone does need to use the restroom or stretch your legs, this is your opportunity at this point. Bailiffs, if Mrs. Adelson does need to use the restroom as well, please take her at this time.
Okay, my story. Yesterday, I got a text from an unknown number. And it said, I'm thinking of making breakfast for dinner. I'm going to make pancakes, eggs, sausage, hash browns, I don't know what all, but like breakfast for dinner. Does that sound okay? And I was like, I'm sorry, I think you have the wrong number. And they were like, oh, I'm terribly sorry. I think my friend had the wrong number. Wait, isn't this Grace? And I was like, no, I'm sorry. You have the wrong number. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I'm so sorry to bother you. At least you were nice about it. I'm like, oh, it's okay. It happens. And then she texts me again and she goes, oh, well, it was so nice of you. You were so polite about it. Hi, I'm Venus. And I was just like, I'm not going to strike up a conversation with this stranger that accidentally texted me. So I didn't reply. I just got this text, okay? Hey, I got my friend's number correctly. She called me today. I'm glad that I'll be able to keep in touch with her. I am sorry for my mistake, and it wasn't my intention, though I hope I can express my apologies by treating you to a cup of coffee. What the fudge? I don't know this person. I don't know. I don't even know where they're from. They could be in a country for all I know. How is she going to treat me to a cup of coffee? This is probably a scam. She's probably going to want like my bank information or something so she can put money in my account. Like, I've never in my life had anything like this happen to me. What is happening? Oh my gosh. Never in my life. I swear. Scammers are so stupid. If you have like a brain cell in your head, you can see through their crap. I cannot believe that. I cannot believe she texted me. Like, I'm gonna fall for that. Man, that's crazy. And then yesterday, I had a voicemail left that somebody said a delivery person was trying to deliver papers to me and couldn't house. So I live way out in the country, and the GPS to my house is wrong, and very frequently people cannot find me. I had a credit card that unfortunately I had to default on. And I got this message yesterday. I got a letter like last week saying that the credit card had sold my debt to this other company. So I get this message yesterday, and I immediately message Carla. I'm like, is this a process server? And she's like, it might be. And she's like, but you're on disability, so you can't be sued. I was like, oh, well, that's good to know. So then today I can't remember if it was a text or an email. I think it was an email from the company that bought my debt saying possible. So whatever that was yesterday, I didn't do that. I think that was another scam too. Because why would they mail me and call them if they had my phone number? Like like they were, the one that I got yesterday was call me because I'm trying to find your house. But the one that I got today was just call me. It says capital recovery. This is capital recovery. We need you to call us. The other one was, you need to call us because we're serving papers on you. So I don't know what that was, because the only possible thing, because you don't get sued for medical bills. And that's all the debt. All the debt I have is medical bills except for that one credit card, which I should have never gotten. Travis told me how to get it. I got it anyway. So I'm working on that and my medical bills. Travis is saving up for a lawnmower because his lawnmower broke. His lawnmower broke all summer. He's been trying to fix it. And now we're going into fall. And now he's saving money for a lawnmower. And like he's griping because like there's bills that need to be paid. Like next month is our quarterly taxes. And he's like, dang it, every time I try to save up money for something, something else happens. I'm like, well, yeah, you should have been saving money like at the beginning of summer when you were buying all the different parts trying to fix it yourself. So, and the dogs, I think that's part of why they don't like to go outside a lot anymore, is because they're too busy worrying about what's going to get them in the grass. I swear my dogs are chickens. They're little scaredy dogs. I wish I could teleport. Teleport would be nice. Oh yeah, I'm gonna block it. I'm gonna block it now. I was just saving it so I could read it to you guys. I don't know if it's a different scammer or the one related to the message I got yesterday. I mean the serving paper one. Oh wait, I don't think I blocked it. I just reported it and deleted it. Well, if I next time if the person texts me again, then next time I will block it. Yeah, I just don't understand. Well, I guess I do understand because there was, back before I got my shoulder replacement, I was going through hell trying to get people to help me. I was supposed to get, yay, Nichelle! Um, I was supposed to get a neurostimulator in my shoulder that was supposed to like stimulate the nerves so cause pain and feeding for 6 weeks and then it was gonna like the effect would last for months more. And every time I tried to get in touch with them down when they were gonna do the procedure, I got the run. Always some reason why they had to postpone it. And finally, because with neurostimulators, they have to be there and they have to follow up with you. They call you every day to find out what your pain level is and how the neurostimulator is working, which I find bizarre why a representative from the company that makes the stimulator has to be involved. I think that's nuts. So apparently the rep that they had, they lost him. Either he quit the job or moved away or something. I don't know. But because of that, I couldn't get the neurostimulator in my shoulder. So my rheumatologist had put me on gabapentin, which I had been on in the past, but for some reason, it screwed me up and made me want to unalive myself. I was just crying all the time. I couldn't function. I couldn't do anything. And they were sending me to physical therapy. And the physical therapy wasn't helping. It was making me feel worse. So I've got all this going on. Plus, I have financial problems now because I'm paying for therapy 3 times a week and more medications that they're giving me. And I'm going to all these different doctors. I'm having all these different x-rays and MRIs and all this kind of stuff. So it was a really, really bad time. And then I actually got a text, and I don't know why. My head just wasn't in the right place, but I got a text from this guy saying that I owed them money, and if I didn't call them back and straighten it out, I was going to end up being sued. So I called the number on this text, and I should have realized because he called me Debbie, and all of my financial stuff, like
Third course, not back to
stuff,
session.
I've got Deborah on here.
Everyone can be seated.
Let me tell you
Please bring in
something.
the
I went
jurors.
through my whole, I'm disabled, blah, blah, blah. I'm still paying off my chemo. I'm a cancer survivor. And that scammer, if he had been ruthless, he would have got money out of me that day. But he let it go. So I got a scammer with a heart, apparently. He's like, you don't have any money. I was like, no, sir, I have no money. Do you have anybody you can borrow money from? I said, no, sir, I have no one I can borrow money from. And he goes, okay, well, I'll be in touch. Or the lawyer will be in touch or something. I don't know what he said. But, yeah, if he could have pushed and pushed and pushed, and I would have found some money somewhere to send him. But he let it go. And then I didn't realize a few days later that it had to have been a scam. I was like, he called me Debbie. I don't put Debbie on any official documents ever. If it's a legal document, a contract with a hospital or a doctor's office or anything, it's always Deborah. And that should have been my first clue that it wasn't real. And I usually catch scams pretty quick.
Everyone can be seated. Members of the jury, before the cross-examination begins, the state is going to ask one additional matter or a few additional matters to Agent Sanford. You may inquire.
Agent Sanford, apparently I managed to confuse and or misspeak regarding the planners. So the planners are a physical book that contain handwritten notes, correct?
Correct. It's like a yearly calendar that has days, individual days on it that you can write notes of each day.
And the planner that was seized, or at least one of the planners that was seized at the search warrant in 2023 was the 2023 planner, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and that's an item that was seized by another agent, not you.
That's correct.
Okay. But you also came into possession of the 2014 planner, which is the planner from the year of the murder, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And some or all of that planner was provided by Mrs. Adelson's prior attorney,
Correct.
not pursuant to the search warrant.
That's correct.
Okay. And it is in that planner from 2014 where Dan Markel's tag number was recorded.
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
And on that exhibit, State's Exhibit 142. Very small, but I am able to see the year here on the front page, 2014, right?
Yes, ma'am.
July 14, that's showing you like the next upcoming months.
Correct.
This is for June.
That's
Yes?
correct.
Okay, but in the very back of that planner, there's a place for names and addresses and notes. Is that where you located the information regarding Dan Markel's tag number?
That's correct. It's after all the calendar months. It's the notes section in the back.
All right. Thank you, Judge, that's all.
Cross-examination.
Trip over that. I try to approach you, so I'm trying to get in front of it.
Good morning.
Testify
quite some time.
Yes, ma'am,
Listened to a lot of phone calls.
we have.
And now it's cross-examination, so on behalf of Mrs. Adelson, I need to talk to you about those things.
Yes, ma'am.
We may replay all of them. I'm kidding, I'm not going to do that.
Thank you.
I wouldn't do that to anybody in this room.
Areas for a minute.
But I do have some questions. I can't remember if you testified to it on direct or not, but you're the lead investigator in this case, correct?
For the Federal Bureau of Investigation, I am.
Thank you. And I don't think you said exactly, I remember you said you got involved early on. What does early on mean with respect to the date that Dan Markel was killed?
I believe the homicide occurred on a Friday. I was called on Monday, that following Monday, so the 18th, 19th, 20th,
Okay.
around the 21st.
Thank you. And when you became involved, who kind of updated you with, here's what we got, and to discuss with you your input of where it should go?
I got the initial call from investigator Scott Cherry. He initially called me and asked me to assist with some leads, basically outside the state of Florida, basically, and outside of Tallahassee.
Okay. All right. You're obviously here testifying for the state,
Yes, ma'am.
so I'm not sure we're going to agree on everything. Is that fair? But I think you could agree with me that my client, Donna Adelson, when she has something on her mind, I mean, you've reviewed the materials, right? The emails, and you listen to the phone calls and text messages, etc.
Yes, ma'am.
If she's got something to say, something on her mind, she writes about it, and she writes a lot about it. Is that fair to say?
Sometimes, yes. Yes. On
Okay.
certain matters, yes.
Okay. And kind of the opposite of that, her son, Charlie Adelson, when he's got something on his mind, he can't shut up, can he?
That's correct.
I mean, he sometimes goes on forever, and in these phone calls, you can actually hear his mother, Donna, just going, yeah, and then finally, when she can, she changes the subject, right?
That's correct.
And from all of the phone records that you have reviewed, not just for this time period, they talk on the phone a lot, don't they?
They do.
Okay. And when they talk, sometimes they talk for a long time, right?
That's correct.
Would you agree with me that sometimes if you don't hear an entire conversation and you just hear a little part of it, you might not be able to put that into context with what the discussion is? Is that fair?
That's sometimes fair, yes.
Okay. You said that there were leads that you were going to follow up with respect to folks who are outside of the state of Florida, right?
Yes, ma'am, among other leads.
Okay, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but were those witnesses or those suspects?
Some of both.
Okay.
We were also trying to track down the green Prius, so there were quite literally thousands of green Priuses throughout the state and the country that were potential suspect vehicles.
Okay, so you followed up on leads of where green Priuses were outside the state of Florida, is that fair to say?
Outside and inside.
Okay.
Outside of Tallahassee is fair to say.
Okay, all right. Let's see here. Just some notes about some of the calls. Would you agree that there were several times in those calls where people were talking about traffic, how heavy the traffic was in one location or another? I think Katie does it some and Charlie does it some. Do you recall that?
Talking about traffic in South Florida?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Calls that we listened to, these are wiretap calls that have been recorded. That was your testimony?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And during those calls, at the point that Charlie Adelson starts to be pretty concerned about what the heck is going on, why is my family continuing to be contacted about that, you can see a change in his demeanor, right?
Certain calls you could, yes.
I mean, there are a couple calls between him and Katie where he's pretty angry, and he's letting her know that something needs to be done. Somebody needs to call this number and figure out what's going on, right?
His characterization of being angry, I don't know about, but yes, he was trying to encourage her to find out who was doing this. Correct.
And I mean, yeah, I don't want you to gauge somebody's character, but I mean, he was getting aggressive with her. Is that fair to say?
I don't think he was, in my opinion, if that's what you're asking me, my opinion is, I don't think he was angry at her. I think he was upset with the situation.
Right, he was showing that.
Yes, he was being, yeah, he was showing that he was not happy.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, so maybe his anger isn't at her, but he's wanting her to do something that's not been done, so he keeps on about it, right?
Yes, he's very anxious. Yes, I would agree with that.
And in some of the calls with her, he shows concern about whether this is somebody related to the people who have committed the killing. Maybe it's the police, but he's letting her know that he's concerned that this might be somebody who's involved some way, right?
I agree.
When they're talking about the brother in Broward County, Katie, you can tell in those calls, she knows Luis Rivera has been incarcerated in Broward County, and now she's getting concerned, right?
Right, she's concerned. I wasn't so sure he was catching on to that part of it.
Yeah, not that it was Luis Rivera, but
Right.
but he was concerned about it, and then she became concerned about it.
That's correct.
And his discussions about being worried about it, those were with Katie, correct?
That's correct.
When he talks to his mother, he's always reassuring her everything's fine. Sometimes it's 99% sure, 100% sure, 1,000% sure. He's got all these percentages, but he's telling his mother there's nothing to worry about. Nobody's coming after you. You're okay.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, so this investigation was pretty lengthy, fair to say.
That's fair to say.
And you were involved in the investigation, I guess would be the Monday after the homicide through Mrs. Adelson's arrest, correct?
Going through today, yes, ma'am.
Okay. We want to talk about the period from when Danny Markel was killed. I should say we want to talk about, my questions are going to relate to from the date that Danny Markel was killed through the date of her arrest.
Okay.
And I know you got records, some people's records, phone records, et cetera, that were from prior to Danny being killed, correct?
Correct.
Emails, et cetera.
Correct.
And my questioning will address those as well, okay?
Okay.
Okay. I want to ask you a question. You have testified about getting a wiretap, right?
I didn't personally get the wiretap, but I've testified about the wiretap. Correct.
One was obtained in this case.
That's correct.
And when I say in this case, I'm not referring to Donna Adelson. I'm referring to, there's a lot of co-conspirators that are alleged, right?
Correct.
And wiretaps were approved by the court for 2 people in the case, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So the only wiretaps you got from the date of Danny Markel's homicide through Mrs. Adelson being arrested were on Charlie Adelson, correct?
Correct.
And Catherine Magbanawa, right?
The only ones we got on this case were. That's
Okay.
correct.
All right, and in this case, I mean, who I just included. I mean, you testified Luis Rivera was arrested, correct?
Correct.
And he entered a plea deal,
Correct.
okay? And Sigfredo Garcia, the one who did the killing, he was arrested.
That's correct.
And convicted. And we'll go back to that in a minute. Then you got who? Charlie Adelson and Catherine Magbanawa, right?
That's correct.
And then you have Mrs. Adelson who's been charged, correct?
Correct.
So of those 5 people, the only wiretaps you ever got were on Charlie Adelson and Catherine Magbanawa, correct?
That's correct. There was a previous wiretap on Luis Rivera.
Okay, all right. When you say previous, what is that time period?
That was in 2014 and I think went into 2015.
Okay. So it was one wiretap that you got that was extended.
It was not our wiretap. It was a different agency's wiretap that were investigating him for the crime that he was incarcerated for.
Okay, not for this case.
Not for this case.
Okay.
Correct. But there were available recordings that we reviewed
Okay.
of his wiretap
Okay, all right.
that participant that assisted us with this investigation.
Okay, thank you. And to get a wiretap, there's a process you have to go through, right?
Correct.
An affidavit or basically showing probable cause has to be submitted to the court, correct?
That's correct.
A petition for a wiretap has to be submitted to the court,
Yes.
and the court reviews it, and if the court approves it based on the probable cause and the petition, here in this case, it was granted twice, right?
That's correct.
And in what has to be shown in this affidavit is probable cause, right?
Correct.
And what is your working knowledge of what probable cause means?
My working knowledge?
Yes, sir.
It's evidence that is built upon, that is, shows a pattern of what can be beyond a reasonable doubt, not beyond a reasonable doubt, but brings upon reasonable suspicion upon something.
Okay, great. So I'm glad you clarified that. A probable cause affidavit is basically you have evidence that a crime has been committed, correct?
Correct.
And the particular person who's the suspect in that affidavit is probably the person who committed the crime. Is that kind of a fair way to say it?
That's one way to say it, yes.
Okay, all right. Not beyond a reasonable doubt.
No, not beyond reasonable doubt.
Okay, and when you get an arrest warrant, it's the same thing. It's just probable cause, correct?
Correct.
Not beyond a reasonable doubt.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, I don't think you were asked about it specifically, but as the lead investigator on the case, you're familiar with the circumstances of Mr. Markel being killed, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, he was followed by Sigfredo and Garcia and Luis Rivera the day of his murder.
Yes, ma'am.
They followed him from his house to the preschool that the children went to, right?
Correct.
They watched him walk the children into the school, correct?
That's correct.
And then when he left the school and went to the gym, they followed him there, right?
Correct.
And after he was done with the gym, they followed him to his home.
That's correct.
Okay. And during the course of this morning, besides those actions, what's happening is there's communication between Dan Markel and Wendy Adelson, right?
That's correct.
And they're exes at this time. The divorce is final, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I think the communication that was spoken of here was Danny Markel, he leaves a voicemail for Wendy that morning, right?
I believe so. That's correct.
I can't recall if you were the witness where that was played or not, were you?
No, ma'am.
Have you listened to it?
It's been a long time ago.
Would you agree with me that it was a pretty pleasant message?
I can't disagree with that.
Okay. I mean, Mr. Markel was being friendly about, he and Wendy potentially getting together to discuss one of the children's school that they might be going to, right?
Yes.
He even
Yes.
suggests, I think, that they could meet at the school and take a walk and talk about it, right?
I don't recall that part, but it was pleasant.
Okay. You are familiar with the text messages that took place between them after that phone call, right?
It's been years since I've looked at them.
Okay. You're not going to be able to answer any of my questions about those then?
I might not be able to. You can try.
We got other witnesses. We'll go on if you don't know them, okay?
Okay.
Based on all of the evidence in the case, Mr. Markel didn't know what was happening, did he?
He didn't know what was going to happen to him?
Right.
No, ma'am. I don't believe he did.
He didn't know he was being followed. You don't have any evidence that he was aware of that.
No, ma'am. We do not believe that.
Okay, and you have surveillance footage at the daycare, right?
Not at the daycare, at the gym and some cross traffic cameras. I don't remember the daycare.
Okay, I might have misspoken on that. I apologize.
Okay.
But Mr. Markel, being unaware of what was going to happen to him that morning, he was just kind of going about life as usual. Is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am, he was.
When he took his children to the preschool and hugged and kissed them and sent them on in the room, he didn't know that was the last time he was going to see them.
He did not.
And those children certainly didn't know that was the last time they were ever in their lives going to see their father.
No, they didn't.
And we've gone through, they go to the gym, they follow Sigfredo Garcia, and sometimes I mess up their names, Luis Rivera,
Yes, ma'am.
follow him in their car back to his home, right?
Correct.
And the evidence is that Sigfredo Garcia, they pull up behind Mr. Markel in his driveway, right?
Correct.
And the car's still running. Mr. Markel is still inside of it. And from the evidence you're aware of, he was talking on the phone to someone.
That's correct.
And he at least is alerted from the evidence that you obtained that somebody is in his driveway and he doesn't know who it is, right?
That's correct.
And from the evidence that you have reviewed, what happens is Sigfredo Garcia exits the car and he goes up and through the glass shoots Danny Markel twice, right?
Correct.
Once in the cheek area and one time almost right between the eyes.
That's correct.
So the investigation really begins in the case when the neighbor, I think his name was Mr. Geiger, he calls 911, correct?
Correct.
And he's already testified to what transpired that made him make that call to 911. But as soon as 911 is called, the investigation starts. Is that fair to say?
I'd agree with that.
Okay, law enforcement was on the scene. There were a bunch of cars, right?
Correct.
And crime scene tape was put up so that the crime scene would be secure and evidence wouldn't be tampered with or trampled over, whatever. Is that right?
That's correct.
Cars were not allowed to go up towards the house, right?
That's my understanding.
Okay. But people who drove up to the crime scene tape and could turn around in your investigation, they would be able to see these cars sitting out there in front of Mr. Markel's house, right?
It depends on which side of the street you're on, I believe, but I was not at the scene, so I can't really
Have you
testify
reviewed-
to that.
Okay, have you reviewed the pictures?
I have seen pictures.
Okay. Now, I don't recall what time it is, but sometime in the afternoon, I think it was TPD, located Wendy Adelson having lunch with some friends, right?
That was TPD, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and they took her back to TPD and they spoke to her, right?
They did.
Okay, you're aware of that interview.
I am.
Have you observed it?
I have.
Okay. And during the course of that interview, which is several hours long, right?
I believe so. It's been a
Okay.
while.
Okay. There are times when she's sitting in the room with a victim advocate alone, correct?
Correct.
Sometimes, I don't remember, was he Detective Investigator Isom?
Investigator Isom.
Investigator
Yes, ma'am.
Isom comes in and speaks to her some, right?
Correct.
Sherry Bennett comes in and talks to her about some things from TPD, correct?
I don't believe so.
That's okay. We'll have another witness.
Okay.
But you agree people are coming and going out of the room.
Yes, ma'am.
And Wendy Adelson, there are many Adelsons, so I'll stop saying Mrs., I'll give their first names, okay? Wendy Adelson is recorded from the time she gets into that room until they are done speaking to her and she's going to be permitted to leave, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and during the course of her being interviewed, she says many things, but she certainly says that Mr. Markel's parents are going to think that she did it, right?
I believe that's correct.
And then she starts answering questions about who it is that possibly could have done this to Mr. Markel, and she gives lots of choices. Maybe it's an angry student, right?
Right.
Maybe it's someone that got upset with him, right?
Right.
And when she talks about her family, she said that her brother had previously joked that he was going to get a hitman, but instead it was cheaper to get her a TV, correct?
Correct.
And when asked about who was angry, she said that her parents disliked him more than anyone. Those were her statements, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and from that date that she's interviewed there and she gives statements, fair to say that her family become suspects.
It depends on whose definition of suspects you have, but they are persons of interest.
Persons of interest, okay, from that time period.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How many suspects did you have from the time Mr. Markel was killed through Donna Adelson being arrested?
Suspects?
Yes, sir.
I would call them persons of interest. We
Person,
had-
I'm sorry, we'll use your word.
Yeah, we had a lot of persons of interest throughout the case.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you a number, but there was numerous.
You followed up on numerous persons of interest.
Yes, ma'am.
How long were there numerous persons of interest before you were focused in on the Adelson family?
About a year.
A year?
Yes, ma'am.
So you didn't consider in the first year the Adelson family as persons of interest?
I considered them. You asked me if I was focused, and I was focused about a year in.
Okay. On them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There was an investigation going on regarding the Adelsons from the time that Wendy started saying these comments, right?
They were part of the investigation.
Okay. I mean, bank records were obtained very early on the Adelson family, correct?
That's correct.
And those were updated throughout the entire investigation, right?
There was different times during the investigation they were updated. After they became main suspects and we identified Luis Rivera, we definitely did then.
And starting on July the 21st of 2014, up through the day that Donna Adelson was arrested, you stayed actively involved in the investigation, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And in fact, you were even there when she was arrested, correct?
I was there on every single arrest. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
You're invested in the case because you were the lead investigator.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Have you ever made a mistake in your work?
Sure.
Have you ever initially assumed that one person might be a suspect or a person of interest, and later it turned out that they were not the one that committed the crime?
Not a suspect, no, ma'am.
No? Not a person of interest?
Maybe a person of interest, yes. Not a suspect.
You've been right from the time you thought that they were a person of interest through them being arrested? Not made a mistake?
As a suspect I deem as somebody we have probable cause on.
Okay? All right, so not just TPD and not just you with the FBI, there were several agencies who were involved in this investigation. Is that fair to say?
Not for the investigation, I would disagree with that.
You
There
would,
was-
so the state attorney's office investigator was not involved in the investigation of this case?
Later on he was, but there's not several agencies. There was just a few that assisted, yes.
Well, the Miami-Dade Police Department got involved, did they not?
They assisted, correct.
And they assisted with the search warrant in Mrs. Adelson, Donna Adelson's home, right?
That's correct.
They were there when she was arrested. Is that right?
I believe that was the Miami-Dade, Miami-Dade. There's different agencies down there, so
Yeah.
different agencies would assist when we needed help, yes.
So some agency down there was there for her arrest?
Right. What I'm saying is there's not a bunch of agencies who were invested in the case throughout the entire investigation.
Oh, sure.
There
I
were
mean,
several that assisted.
There
yes.
are main investigative agencies, yourself and TPD.
Yes, correct.
But there were others who were involved as well.
That were involved that assisted us, yes.
Right. Even the Florida Department of Law Enforcement was involved in assisting, right?
That's correct.
And so, fair to say you had resources that were beyond just TPD, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And the evidence that's been collected in this case has been for years, right?
Correct.
I mean, we're like, at this point, unfortunately, Mr. Markel has been gone for, is my math right, 11 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the different kinds of evidence that was obtained in this case include a lot of emails.
I'd agree with that.
One witness testified that there were hundreds of thousands of emails that were obtained in this case.
I don't know what another witness testified to this.
No,
trial.
I'm asking your knowledge. You're aware that there were hundreds of thousands.
I do know that, yes.
And in addition to having these emails, you also recovered a lot of text messages, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, hundreds of thousands of emails, I can tell you from my experience in this case, that's not easy to go through, is it?
No, ma'am.
So were a lot of people involved in reviewing the emails for the investigation?
TPD had people that reviewed the emails.
Okay. And I'm sure you're not familiar with all hundreds of thousands of them. Is that fair to say?
That's very fair to say.
the ones that have been presented here with the state, and you going over with them, preparing for court, some of them have been introduced into evidence, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And also, in addition to that, there are calls until,
It's fair to say, I could be mistaken, but I think that's probably the first recorded
and
calls.
when I say recorded calls, I mean the wire calls. That's what you have that you've testified to here in court.
We had some wire calls prior to the bump, like the
With-
first, like about a week before the bump.
Mr. Rivera, are you?
Oh, ma'am, we started the wire before the bump.
Okay.
I can refresh my
Please do.
notes, refresh my memory.
Yeah, please do.
It looks like 4/8 of 16 is when we started the wire. Mr. Charlie Adelson and Manuel.
That went all the way through June the 7th?
Just refer to my notes again.
Please do.
I don't have that on my timeline, but that sounds about right. June 7th is when, well, actually, I do have. So we did actually get another couple of wires after Sigfredo was arrested. I'm sorry, after I interviewed Garcia, bought 2 phones. He went to those phones also. As I interviewed him, he went and bought 2 burner phones. We went to those phones also, and then we ended up arresting him. And then shortly after, went on all the 2 wires.
Okay. With respect to Charlie Adelson and Catherine McBanawa, those ended. You also, in this investigation, have what's called call detail records from even before Mr. Markel was killed, right?
Yes, call detail records showing the calls back and forth, date and times. Just, yes, ma'am.
Not just back and forth between people here, but other people too.
Right, all their phone, it's their phone records, there's no content, is what it is. It's the
Correct.
call.
Can you guys hear me? StreamYard's playing around with my audio again. Can you hear me or am I still muted? Michelle, I am crocheting. I knit, but I knit very badly. I'm a much better crocheter.
About the recorded calls, was someone listening in on those
Which recorded calls?
for the bump?
So you're talking about the wire calls?
Yes. Mhm.
Yes, we had people who had to live monitor those calls. We can't just record them without somebody sitting there and listening to them. They have to minimize them as they go.
Let's talk about minimizing. Minimizing is when there's a point in a call where something's being discussed that's not relevant to your investigation. Is that fair to say?
That's fair.
And so the minimization takes place in that click. We're not recording that part. We're not listening to the part. How does that work?
Yeah, they hit a button and it stops recording and stops listening.
Okay.
And then they give a certain amount of time. They go back in and start listening again to see if there's anything relevant.
Okay,
to the conversation.
all right. And they could be extended calls, many minutes, but there's only a very short period of time that's relevant to this case. Is that fair to say?
That's that officer who's actually monitoring at that time, that's their determination. So they've been instructed on how to do the minimization, and they listen to the best of their knowledge, and they make those determinations of whether they think it's relevant or not.
Okay. But you would agree that some of these calls that, well, let's just give an example. There's a call on April the 15th of 2016, if you look at your summary, 8:32 p.m. And it says it's 50 minutes and 9 seconds. Do you see that?
You said April 15th, you have the call number?
2016. Oh, I'm sorry, it's 989.
Oh, perfect. Yes, ma'am, I see it. 50 minutes long, yes, ma'am.
For 50 minutes, they're talking, but they're not talking about this case for 50 minutes. Fair to say?
Fair to say they're not talking about this case in regards to the actual, I would say it's relevant to the case.
It's relevant to the case. So if they're talking about Charlie wanting to buy a go-kart, become a professional go-kart driver, that's relevant to the case?
I believe some of that was minimized.
Right. So my point is, if it's a 50-minute call, that doesn't mean the 50 minutes are about this case, right?
No, all 50 minutes of it? No, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So we may have heard 2 minutes in some of these calls that say they're lengthy.
Correct.
I mean, some of the calls we listen to completely, 10-minute calls, 15-minute calls, we listen to those entirely, right?
Some of them.
Okay, but most of them we're looking at segments, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So where it says the duration of the call, you're not saying that the duration is they've spoken on the phone about this case for that period of time?
No, ma'am, not at all.
Okay. I don't want to get this wrong, just because I get things wrong.
We
So
all
I'm
do.
not going to pronounce this right. I can't remember if it's Jeffrey Lacoste, something?
I say Lacoste, but
Okay,
I don't know
Lacoste.
either.
All right. Was he a person of interest?
I didn't deal with Mr. Lacoste. I never interviewed him. I had no real dealings with him, so
As far as your knowledge in the investigation, was he a person of interest?
at some point, I'm sure he was.
Okay. Wendy Adelson, in her interview, didn't actually offer up Jeff Lacoste as a suspect, did she?
I don't know what you mean, offer him up as a suspect.
Well, when law enforcement's asking her, who can say? She doesn't say, oh, I've got this ex-boyfriend, Jeff Lacoste, and he probably did it. She doesn't say that, does she?
I don't believe so.
In fact, she has a friend come into the interview room with her. You recall that?
Not really.
You don't?
No.
Okay, that's okay. We'll get him to play it. You recall that it's that friend who says Jeff Lacoste.
I don't.
That's okay. We'll
Sorry.
play it. How many witnesses do you think?
Cut it out, StreamYard. Guess I'm gonna have to turn my camera off. It usually doesn't do this until the afternoon. It does it when I do Court TV's website, and it does it in the afternoon. I guess because traffic picks up on the internet? I don't know.
Hundreds?
No, not hundreds. No,
Less than 50?
less than 50.
25?
Witnesses? Yeah, definitely less than 25.
Okay, and what about persons of interest? How many did you interview?
Me personally,
Yes, sir.
just a handful.
Handful. there was a call, RR, and that's, there's so many calls, that's not gonna ring a bell to you, I'm sure. I'm not even sure if looking at your summary, it's gonna ring a bell. But you were here when the calls were played, obviously.
Yes, ma'am.
And call RR is on April the 29th of 2016. Between Catherine Magbanawa and Charlie Adelson. It says the duration is 10 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall that there was a call played, a recording played yesterday, where they're talking and there are some pretty inappropriate comments about remember that call?
I do.
At that time, Benoit went into Charlie Adelson's garage. Recall that?
I do.
Do you remember him telling her to take off her shirt so that she would know how to get into the garage?
Yes, ma'am.
And you know from your investigation, the reference for that is she has a tattoo on her ribs that is 12, 14, and that. Okay. Is it fair to say that the information that was obtained in these recorded calls was used in your investigation to determine if you're moving forward on a person or not? Is that fair to say?
That was a piece of it.
Okay.
Yes.
It was. Okay. Charlie Adelson, in the Dolce Vita recording, that was played with you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's where Katie and Charlie are meeting at a restaurant, right?
Correct.
April 20th of 2016.
Yes, ma'am. Sounds right.
And in addition to a recording inside the restaurant where they're talking, I guess there's some pictures also, right?
Inside the restaurant, ma'am.
That's before or after they go inside?
After.
Okay.
Correct.
And there's one or more agent or officer of some sort in there with concealed recording devices trying to capture their conversation, right?
Correct.
And you recall that in Dolce Vita, Charlie tells Katie, "Trust me, I'll keep you full-time, so you're going to get your checks." He says that, doesn't he?
I believe he did, yes.
And you considered that as part of your investigation?
Considered that statement?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so we've had the agencies that have helped in some way, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And TPD was responsible for reviewing the emails. Who was responsible for listening to the calls?
It was TPD was monitoring the calls. They had officers assigned to shifts
Okay.
monitoring the calls
And they did-
live.
Live, they did it around the clock, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And
Well,
the-
I don't recall doing a night shift, a late night shift, but we could have. I don't remember.
Okay, many, many hours a day.
9 years
They're
ago.
listening in on all the phone calls of Magbanawa and Charlie Adelson. Okay.
Correct.
And these people who are listening in, how are they getting the information to the investigators on the case when they hear something they think is relevant? How does that process work?
There's different ways. Sometimes they would call us directly. Sometimes myself or Investigator Ison would be in there, or other people on the squad would be in there, or they would relay the information through different means.
Okay, and you said in there, you mean in there they're listening to the call?
Yes.
And you as well?
No, I was mostly in South Florida
Okay.
during a lot of the wire. I went in there and review calls because we can go in there and they would mark them pertinent, what was pertinent, non-pertinent. So we would have to go in and listen to calls that had already been made and recorded. And that's where we would have to go to listen to them.
Okay, when you say mark permanent, what did you say?
Pertinent.
Pertinent, I'm sorry, I misspoke. pertinent or not pertinent. You said they're marked that way. Did you get some kind of printout or something that showed you that?
There's a database, computer database, that we could go in and log in and see these calls listed. Yes, ma'am.
And so yourself and ISOM and agent, is somebody letting you know that right away?
Yes, usually we left them instructions
Okay.
to do that.
And
Yes.
something urgent would be, oh my goodness, somebody's meeting up, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so the resources that you had in South Florida at the time, including yourself, is some of these people are going to be meeting up. We need to go see what we can capture. Is that right?
There was a short period after the bump that we did that, not throughout a long period of time, of course.
Sure, right. Okay. During the bump that's going on, that I'm referring to the bump as not just the day they meet on the street, but that period of time where you have the wire live down there, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and during that period of time, yourself, you were there. Were there other people on standby to assist you,
I had some other FBI agents that are assigned to Miami Division that were assisting me.
including the individuals who went in and did the recordings? Is that fair?
That's correct.
Okay. And you said you were there for some of them. Which ones were you there for?
For some of what?
The meetings that were recorded.
I was there for the bump. I was there for the next day meeting with Mrs. Adelson and Mr. Charlie Adelson when they met on the boardwalk. I was there, I was in South Florida the whole time. Whether I was physically at the meeting, it's hard to say. I was outside of Dolce Vita. I did not go in because I had already been close to Mr. Adelson and Mrs. Charlie Adelson and Donna Adelson the day that they met on the boardwalk. I was pretty close to them. So I wasn't sure if they noticed me or not. So I didn't go back in and get close to them again after that. So I did not go into Dolce Vita.
Okay. And when you said you'd already been close to them, you mean in proximity, not that they were aware of you and what your job was?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And also in this case, there was use of, I guess, firearms experts? Was that at FDLE?
That would have been FDLE.
And the purpose of that in the investigation was to determine if both of the projectiles came from the same weapon, right?
I don't believe we had that examination done.
That's okay. If you don't recall it, we'll
'Cause we
talk about that
didn't-
from somebody else.
We
Yes, sir.
we didn't recover the weapon, so we did not have a weapon
You didn't
to
have the weapon,
compare.
right?
Right, to
But
compare.
you can compare two projectiles from the markings on them to see if they came from the
You
same
could.
weapon. Okay.
Correct.
All right. And you said you had surveillance videos from the gym?
From Premier Gym, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Where else did you have surveillance video footage?
At which point?
Any point in this
The
investigation?
whole investigation?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow. I know we had some traffic cameras from the time of his drive.
You're talking about when?
Mr. Markel was driving the kids to the daycare.
Right.
And when he was driving to the gym,
Okay.
we had bus surveillance video.
Okay.
You referred to surveillance video. We had some surveillance video of inside Dolce Vita, along with the recording. We had some recordings of when they came out of Dolce Vita. That's all I can recall right now. I'm sure there's probably more,
Probably more? Okay.
possibly.
Okay.
Oh, surveillance video from the bank when I located Mr. Rivera and Mr. Garcia going to the bank immediately following the homicide on the way back from Tallahassee. They stopped at a bank and an ATM. I
Right.
got surveillance video from that ATM.
Right.
Um,
Let me ask you this. The co-conspirators is how I refer to them, the co-conspirators that have been tried and convicted. The first question is, were they followed prior to their arrests?
which ones specifically?
Any of the ones that have been tried and convicted?
Followed prior to their arrest?
Yes.
Like the day of their arrest or
No,
any time?
Anytime before that.
Yes, Sigfredo Garcia and Catherine McManua, I had electronic video surveillance on their residence.
That means somebody's there watching their residence?
No, ma'am.
How do you get that then?
We use cameras.
Cameras.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I don't want you to,
And we also did some surveillance on Catherine McBanwa when she went to go meet Charlie Adelson to pick up checks before the bump. We did surveillance on her then.
how did you know she was going to pick up checks?
We were already up on the wire that
Okay.
week prior, and that's the photo that was shown to me earlier in the trial of her getting out of the black car and getting into Charlie's car.
That was for picking up checks.
Yes, ma'am.
The check she picked up came from Charlie Adelson.
He gave her the check that day,
Okay.
correct?
She's having a conversation.
Pretty incredible that you were able to determine the vehicle and find it throughout
George is not
Tallahassee
objecting.
on bus cameras? Is that what you used? You said you used?
That wasn't me particularly, that was TPD.
It was
TPD
used
did a
in the
great
invest-
job. They
Yeah.
did a great job of going back with the timeline of the neighbor and everything, and once they saw the video at premiere and were able to see the vehicle there, they knew the time frames, and they went back and got all the video. They did an outstanding job on that.
Yeah. The people that were conducting surveillance, if you will, on the co-conspirators who've been charged, were they with the FBI, your folks, or were they with a different agency?
The one that I just spoke about with Charlie and Katie, there were FBI personnel doing that surveillance. The video surveillance I did through the FBI.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe all the ones in South Florida were probably all FBI.
In addition to the people who've been convicted of this offense, did someone watch her comings and goings at any point?
To the bump, I had FBI personnel doing surveillance to get a pattern of life, so we could find out where she was going, so we could come up with an idea of where to conduct a bump at.
Okay, and that was where she would be outside walking? Is that fair?
Correct. When she went to go pick up Mr. Markel's children from preschool, we were able to determine what time she left out of there, and it was a consistent time every day that she went to go pick the children up from school. So we determined that was a good time to set up the operation because we had a known time when that was going to occur.
Right, and was she followed in her vehicle, places that she traveled to?
I don't recall exactly if she was followed in her vehicle. It's possible, though, during that time period, trying to get a pattern of life.
In determining this pattern of life, where she walks her grandchildren to the school before school starts and then walks back to pick them up, were you present for observing that?
Not on those days. On the day of the bump, I was.
Okay. But you got that information from whoever in the FBI was doing the surveillance, right?
Correct.
Okay. And in addition to the live surveillance, the recordings that you've had, folks have been retained to do an enhancement of some of those things, correct?
That's correct.
So if the recording doesn't sound real clear from what you obtained in your equipment when you went in, an enhancement means that you basically block out some of the outside noise, if you will, and then you can hear the voice of the person speaking that you want to hear. You can hear them more clearly. Is that correct?
It's a clarification, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in addition to all of the things we've talked about, cell phones were recovered in this case by law enforcement, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And some computers as well, correct?
Correct.
And those were searched, right?
As far as I know, yes.
You didn't participate in that part,
No, ma'am.
but you're aware in the investigation that material that has been used in prosecuting these individuals came from those phones and computers, right?
I am.
Okay. Now, you never got a wiretap on Donna Adelson's phone, correct?
No, ma'am.
And 1 year into it, you decided that did she move from a person of interest to a suspect? I don't remember how you worded it.
Yes, ma'am. Once I identified Sigfredo Garcia as being in Tallahassee the day of the murder at the gym, and identified Luis Rivera, we were able to go back and get phone records, and that's when I was able to link back to the Adelson family.
Okay. And you've testified on direct when each person was arrested. I guess it would have been Garcia first, and then Rivera was already incarcerated, right?
That's correct. We still visited him, and he was, I can't remember if it was a complaint or an indictment, but he was still indicted under this case.
He was indicted, okay. But at the time he was indicted, he was serving a prison sentence in federal prison, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. He was in Coleman at the time.
And his sentence for his federal case,
I believe it was 12 years,
Objection
if I'm not
relevant.
mistaken, but it's been a while.
okay, of course not, we've heard testimony of that, you're aware of that?
Eventually he did, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and his assistance was taking you places, explaining things, is that fair to say?
Yes, ma'am. We drove him around Tallahassee and let him explain things, and then we drove him down to South Florida looking for the weapon.
Down to South Florida looking for the weapon, that's where you thought the weapon was?
Yes, ma'am. That's where he told us that they ditched the weapon, was on the way to South Florida. It was along the road on the way to South Florida when they threw the weapon in the river.
And whereabouts, do you recall, whereabouts was that between Tallahassee and where they went to when the homicide was over in South Florida?
Where he said he dumped the weapon?
Yes, where did you?
Yes, ma'am. It was in Tampa, outside Tampa.
Okay.
We finally identified the brick he thought looked like the brick he didn't say for the straight action gun,
But you did,
and we did extensive for the weapon.
he told you a gun was used, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was that gun? What type?
It was a 38. I don't remember if it was Smith & Wesson, but it's been a while. Revolver, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
You recall that in around June of 2016, so after this bump period and the ending of the wiretap, that the probable cause in this case, it was leaked out, wasn't it?
That's what I was told.
And TPD actually held a press conference, right?
They did hold a press conference at some point, yes.
And the Adelson family, according to what TPD said and those probable cause affidavit, the Adelson family were announced as being considered as suspects, right?
I don't believe they talked about that at the press conference at all. I think they just, at the press conference, what I remember is him just announcing Sigfredo Garcia's arrest. But that's what I recall, but it's been 9 years ago.
Sure, and it's mentioned in the probable cause too, right?
It was mentioned in the probable cause, yes, ma'am. And that's not the press conference, though.
Yeah, I made a mistake. I asked a compound question. I included them both, and
Okay.
obviously the first thing I said was the press conference, and that's what you picked up on, so that's my fault.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Now, from the time Markel was murdered to the time that Donna Adelson was arrested, fair to say she lived a pretty routine life, right?
I don't know what her routine life is, but I couldn't disagree with that.
Well, during your investigation, you learned that she worked at the Adelson Institute, right?
Correct.
You learned that Harvey Adelson, her husband of now 54 years, did general dentistry there, right?
That's correct.
You learned that Charlie Adelson was a periodontist and worked some out of the Adelson Institute, but he also did, I guess it's dental surgery. I'm not real familiar with it, but basically he did dental surgery for many different doctors, right?
I believe it was periodontal work, but yes.
Yeah.
He traveled around and did, yeah.
I'm
as a
sorry if I
periodontist.
misspoke. I thought
It's-
surgery was the periodontist. But
I don't know either.
whatever, he was a specialist, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And he did that work for several different dentists,
He
correct?
did. He traveled around in different offices and worked out of other people's offices.
Okay.
Is what he did.
And a lot of the calls that he between these appointments, right?
He is.
Okay.
During appointments sometimes too, it sounds like.
Okay. Yeah, it did, didn't it? Okay. During this time period from your investigation, you're aware that after Mr. Markel was murdered until the time that Mrs. Adelson was arrested, she and her husband left the United States several times to travel, right?
They did.
And they returned each time, right?
They did.
Okay. Back in 2019 is when the iMessage outside your house was obtained during the course of this investigation, right?
I don't know the date.
Somebody else does. But, well, I'll have to ask somebody else that. Now, on these calls that you're listening to, you're hearing what the parties are saying to each other, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're not hearing any of the conversations, unless you've recorded them, of what they speak about before that, right?
I'm sorry, can you re-ask
Yeah,
that
sure. I
question?
mean, it's clear in these recorded phone calls that these folks are talking in person sometimes.
Correct.
They're talking about lots of issues that are recorded, but they speak outside of these recorded calls that you have.
That's correct.
So you're not privy to that if you haven't recorded it.
That's fair.
So when they're having these conversations, there are things in their mind that you're not aware of.
That's possible, yes.
Okay. Now, all of these calls that have been played here today, they were considered as one of the pieces of your investigation, right?
One of the pieces.
Sure.
Correct.
So on call S, when Charlie says to his mother, "You didn't do anything to anybody, you don't know anything," you considered that,
Yes, ma'am, we considered it.
okay? And on these calls where Charlie Adelson is talking to his mother, you would agree that at least the majority of the conversation comes from Charlie, right?
I would agree with that, yes.
Sometimes the overwhelming majority of the conversation. Is that fair to say?
Sometimes, yes.
And there are times that Mrs. Adelson is talking to Charlie on the phone and she says, we'll meet up and talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it on the phone with you, right?
Yes, she does.
And you don't know where she got the idea from of why it is she's not going to talk about it on the phone, do you?
Do I know?
From your investigation, have you gotten evidence to show why it is she's saying those things?
Through my investigation,
Do you have evidence?
okay. Do I have evidence? No.
Okay. Now, Catherine McBanawa, well, Sigfredo went to trial and he was convicted, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And Luis Rivera, after he was indicted, or before he was indicted, he cooperated with law enforcement, correct?
That's incorrect.
After he was indicted?
It was well after he's indicted.
Okay, sorry, I got the timeline wrong. So
It's
well
fine.
after he's indicted on the charges, he decides he's going to cooperate, right?
Yes, it was a few months later.
Okay, and he had a 12-year sentence with the federal prison, right?
He already had that, yes, ma'am.
Right, based on federal charges, right?
Correct.
And he got a sentence for his role in this case for a period of 19 years, correct?
Correct.
But that was to be served concurrently, meaning at the same time with the sentence that he had on his federal case, right?
I believe so.
So the additional time that he got for this homicide is 7 years, correct? And first one to be tried and convicted, right?
He's the first one that was convicted.
Okay,
He was
and
tried together.
right. But that first trial of him, he's convicted, right?
Correct.
And he's sentenced to life in prison.
Correct.
And then Catherine McBanawa has a trial, and she's convicted, correct?
Correct.
And she's sentenced to life in prison, right?
Correct.
And Charlie Adelson is, so we've got the first three, life in prison except for Luis Rivera, who gets basically an additional 7 years, right?
Correct.
Then you get to Charlie Adelson, and he's arrested, right?
Correct.
And he has a trial, correct?
Correct.
And his defense, if you will, I mean, you were there for that trial, right?
I was there for my part of the trial. I did not see I was not allowed to be in the courtroom during the rest of the testimony.
Was there at any point during the course of Mr. Charlie Adelson going to trial, getting convicted, and thereafter that you learned that his defense was that he was being extorted?
Yes, I did.
You heard that.
Yes, ma'am.
But he got convicted, didn't he?
Yes, ma'am.
And he was sentenced to life in prison.
That's correct.
Okay. So then comes Catherine McBanawa after she's been convicted, and she's in prison for life, right?
Correct.
The testimony is that she gave a proffer to law enforcement, right?
Correct.
She actually gave 2 proffers first, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And when she gave those proffers, she gave information about what she says happened, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And she's hoping, she's giving this cooperation because she's not promised anything, but hoping, as she's testified, that someday she'll see her kids, so she won't actually have to serve a life sentence. That's fair to say, right?
I don't know that for a fact, but I would assume that's correct.
Okay, and when she gives these 2 proffers, it's before she testifies against Charlie Adelson, right?
Correct.
And the first proffer that she gives is a little bit different than the story she told in 2 different trials so far. Sigfredo Garcia's and then herself, right?
I would agree with that.
She changes some information.
I don't know if she changes information. She has more information as time goes on because I believe she was minimizing the first 2 proffers, which is very, very common for defendants to do. They minimize their role in actual crimes.
Right, so when she testifies in Sigfredo Garcia's trial and then in her trial, basically,
Oh, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
I misunderstood what you said
didn't
about which trial.
No, I'm sorry, I can't speak over you and I talk way too fast because the court reporter can only get one of us, so I apologize for that. It's not intentional.
I thought you said the proffer.
I did,
Okay.
I did.
Okay.
Sorry. So I'm changing now.
Okay.
So
okay.
she, basically, when she testifies in those first 2 trials, she didn't just minimize, she didn't have involvement.
Right.
That's
She
what
lied in the first 2 trials.
She lied, straight
Yes.
up.
Correct.
Okay. And then she gives this first proffer, and she's not being completely honest there either, is she?
She's not being fully forthcoming,
Okay.
is the way I describe it.
All right, and you're in that interview.
Yes, ma'am.
And who else is in there with her?
Jason Newland, Investigator State Attorney's Office, and Sherry Bennett with the Tallahassee Police Department.
Okay, all right, and when you all are in there interviewing her the first time, she's not being forthcoming, and you're asking her questions, aren't you?
Correct.
And you know she's not being forthcoming because of other things you obtained in the investigation and the convictions that you've had, right?
I feel like she's holding back her involvement.
And
Correct.
at some point in that first proffer, you got so frustrated, you just got up and walked out, didn't you?
I left the room. I didn't walk out. We left the room to let her think about it. It's a strategic process to have them think about it and reconsider them not being totally honest with us. So it wasn't that I was walking out done with her.
No, you weren't done because she came back and then she gave another proffer,
Correct.
right? And from the first proffer that she gave to the second proffer that she gave, she tells more, right?
She does.
Okay? And then she gets to Charlie Adelson's trial, and by the time she gets there, she's got more information even she testifies to, right?
I would agree with that.
Okay. So she wasn't honest in her first testimony at her trial, right?
In her trial, correct. Her trials, she lied in her first 2 trials, absolutely.
Okay, and she wasn't completely forthcoming in her first proffer,
Correct.
and she wasn't completely forthcoming in her second proffer,
Correct.
and she comes into the third trial the third trial is Charlie Adelson, and she provides additional information, which means she wasn't forthcoming before, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then, she's been here in trial. Are you aware that she's testified here?
I'm aware she was here, but I know nothing about it.
Right, because you're under a rule that you can't talk about the case, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Are you real familiar with all of the testimony and proffers that she's given in this case?
No.
You're not?
Not real familiar?
Yeah.
I can't say I'm real familiar. Depends on what it is, I guess.
Are you real familiar with what she testified to in Charlie's trial?
I don't know if I can say I'm real familiar with it.
That's okay. We'll get that information and get it to the jury. May I have just one moment? I left something on my table. There was some testimony about Mrs. Adelson making arrangements to take a trip to Vietnam. You've testified about that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're familiar at least with what happened during that course of the investigation, correct?
Correct.
Okay, you were intimately involved in her time period where she speaks to Charlie on the phone, and we call it the dropped call that's been played here today, where she can tell Charlie's not on the line anymore, but for some reason it continues to record, right?
Right.
Okay.
I was only familiar with that Friday. It was like 5 days after the call was made is when I was made aware of that call.
Okay,
He's
and
over
you were
this
made aware of it on that Friday.
Correct.
You had an opportunity to listen to the call,
Yes, ma'am.
and you discussed it with the investigator at the state attorney's office.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else in the investigation that you spoke to that about that you can recall?
Not that I recall.
That's on Friday, right?
I believe so.
Okay. So you have the information from that call on Friday, and at what point do you learn that she is getting a ticket?
Monday morning.
Monday morning, the date of the flight.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right? Where were you at?
When I found out that she was flying,
Yes, sir.
I was at home.
At home, here in Tallahassee?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. I'm not going to ask you where that is.
Thank you.
So you're at home in Tallahassee, and how did you find out about she got a flight?
I got a call from a contact that I had reached out to, and he checked again Monday. He's the same one that checked to see if there was anything on record of flights being purchased, and he called me Monday morning, said he checked again and saw that there was a flight going to Vietnam.
Okay, so this was a contact that you had that was looking to see if she was booking flights. Is that right?
No, ma'am, it's not that. It's a government agency that shows people traveling overseas. They were able to check a database to see if there had been anything that was traveling overseas.
Okay, so they were checking to see if she had arranged a flight to go overseas.
Correct.
Okay, and you learned about the call on Friday. When did this start that they were checking to see if she had booked flights to go overseas?
Friday.
And you were concerned about her getting a flight to go overseas based on what was learned in the conversation that was recorded that she was not aware about, right?
Correct.
Okay. So you start looking and you find out, or you don't look, I'm sorry, your contact notifies you Monday morning that she's booked a flight. She's going out of town.
Correct.
At that point, you knew it was Vietnam.
Yes, ma'am.
And you knew that there's not a treaty, I guess. There's not a, extradition happens in different ways, correct?
That's correct.
So some countries like Vietnam say that they don't automatically extradite, correct?
Correct. It's much
But-
more difficult.
Right, but they do extradite, correct?
In certain cases, they do,
Right.
yes.
It's kind of a case-by-case thing.
It is.
And one of the things that they happen to extradite for is murder, right?
I don't know that.
You don't know that? You
I'm
didn't
not sure.
investigate that?
I didn't investigate that now.
Okay. So she's booked this flight and she's going to Vietnam. When did you find out that it was a one-way ticket?
I don't recall.
Don't
It
recall?
it could have been that morning, it could have been later in the day. I'm not sure.
Okay. Before the date that you listened to this call, there was never a warrant obtained to arrest Donna Adelson, was there?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And all you know about leaving town comes from the phone call and your source who tells you that they've booked a flight, right?
That's correct.
You don't have any idea, besides that phone call, what the conversations are that are going on about this trip to Vietnam, do you?
Outside of that, at that point, no, ma'am.
Okay. Any plans that they have actually made for a return without a return ticket at that point, you don't know about.
No, I could not find anything. No, ma'am.
You don't know what they were planning to do.
No.
But you did learn at some point in this investigation, before we sit here today, that they actually had the plan to return because one of their grandsons, one of Mr. Markel's children, had a scheduled bar mitzvah, and they were coming back for that, right?
I had heard that. I don't know.
You heard it. And you have suspicion, I guess, that they weren't going to return because this one-way ticket was purchased, right?
Are you asking my opinion?
I'm asking if you believed at the time that you decided to assist in getting a warrant for her to be arrested, did you, as a professional in this investigation, come to a conclusion that we needed to get a warrant because she has a one-way ticket?
It's not my decision to get a warrant. I
Did
was
you
not
give input?
involved in the process of getting a warrant.
You were not involved in that?
No, ma'am.
So you weren't involved in coming to the decision that a warrant needed to be obtained because she was going to leave the country?
No, ma'am, that's not my decision to make. That's the prosecution's decision.
I didn't ask you if it was your decision. I said you didn't participate in it.
It depends on what you mean by participate.
You
I
told me.
drove to Miami to participate. Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any communication with any investigation agency in this case about the fact there was a one-way ticket to a country that doesn't extradite and something probably needs to be done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I mean, because you got on the road then and went to Miami, right?
I did, just in case. Yes, ma'am.
Just in case you traveled,
No, just in case they got a warrant.
just in case they got a warrant. But up to that point, there was no warrant.
That is correct.
From the date that Mr. Markel was murdered, all of the investigation that took place, right?
Yes.
So if they were coming back, why didn't they get a round trip ticket? Round trip tickets are cheaper. Even if you're not coming back, you should get a round trip ticket because it's cheaper. And if you're fleeing the country to a country with no extradition because you're afraid you'll get arrested, you should still get a round trip ticket. It looks better.
Hundreds of thousands of emails, right?
Correct.
Some of them she says bad things about Danny Markel and sometimes other people, right?
Sure.
And you've got all of that. You've got all of the call detail records, right?
Correct.
No warrant.
No, ma'am.
And she's been watched. She's been monitored. No warrant.
Yes, ma'am. No
You-
warrant.
You got her on recorded calls in 2016 saying what she said. No warrant.
That's correct.
You got a text message where she says, outside your house, no warrant.
Correct.
You got Catherine Magbanawa, who's come through her lying and not being completely truthful, and no warrant.
Yes.
And it's not until the time that she has this trip, that she's going out of the country, that a warrant is obtained.
That's correct.
At the time that she started planning that she was going to go out of town, there was no warrant.
Correct.
You were aware that she was getting a visa. You all knew that.
Correct.
There was no warrant at that time.
That's correct.
Without a warrant, she's free to travel.
That's correct.
And when you're aware in the investigation that she actually spoke to her attorney, and it was even on one of the recorded calls, it's okay to travel.
That's
right?
correct. Yes.
No warrant.
Yes.
And you're aware as part of the investigation that someone else actually called the state attorney's office on the day that she traveled, spoke to Jason Newland, and asked the question because they were concerned about them leaving the country. And Jason Newland at the state attorney's office said, there's no warrant. She's free to travel.
I'm not aware of that one.
You've never learned that in the investigation?
Not that I'm aware of.
Sorry, I thought you knew that. In one of the calls,
Justifying, Jackie.
because you considered all of them, at least pieces of them, Charlie Adelson says to him, his mother, and that's call G, you've never hurt or threatened anybody. And she says, I know.
Yes.
You at least considered that, right?
Sure.
So now they've packed their bags and there was no warrant. And they've made their reservation with no warrant, correct?
Correct.
What caused you to leave Tallahassee on the day of their flight to go to Miami? Because there was no warrant.
Because they told me they were considering it.
Who's they?
The state attorney's office.
They were considering getting it done.
Yes.
And you weren't gonna wait to see if they were gonna do it or not. You just got in your car and headed to Miami.
That's correct, because if I waited, I would get there after she was gone.
Waited to see if they made up a decision, or waited to see if it was approved?
If they made a decision.
So what time did you leave Tallahassee to go to Miami?
It's probably 9 o'clock maybe in the morning,
Okay. And what time did you arrive in Miami?
around 6,
6?
6:30, somewhere around there.
It's normally an 8-hour drive, but maybe you stopped somewhere?
I'm sure I did.
Stop and
It's
get gas?
definitely,
Maybe something to eat?
possibly.
Okay. So when you drive from Tallahassee to Miami, where did you go to?
When I got to Miami,
Yes, sir. I'm
went to
sorry.
the
That was a-
airport.
That was a very open-ended, I wasn't asking from Tallahassee, obviously, but you were alert, so you understood.
Got to Miami airport.
That's where you went to when you got to Miami.
Yes, ma'am,
That's the first place you went.
it is.
Okay, and when you got there, had you been communicating on your trip with anyone at the state attorney's office to see if they had decided if they were gonna get a warrant?
Yes,
And about what time did you learn they were gonna get a warrant?
that they were going to get a warrant or they got the warrant.
That they were gonna try and get one? What, that decision when they decided that they were gonna get a warrant, did you discuss it?
From my recollection, it was around probably 3 o'clock, 3 or 4 o'clock,
When they obtained it or when they decided?
when they decided.
So at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the state attorney's office decides we're gonna get a warrant, right?
I believe so. They were still pushing through to see if they were going to get a warrant. But that was the decision, I thought, at that point.
Okay, around 3 o'clock, so you're still traveling at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Not actually there?
No,
Okay. And they know that someone calls you, I guess?
I don't recall. It was either one of the two, yeah. Either calling me or I called them.
Oh, so there was a phone communication?
There was.
You recall who spoke to?
Investigator Newland, I'm sure.
Okay, all right, so he says we've decided we're gonna try and get a warrant.
I believe so.
So you keep going, and when you get to the airport in Miami, where did you go to when you got to the airport? Obviously, you went inside, but where'd you go to?
I went to the front and met with an agent that I've been speaking with.
So
who worked there.
An agent from the FBI?
There's an FBI agent that's assigned to the airport. I'd already reached out and found out who he was and talked to him, and just to find out if he was going to be able to assist, to get the local police to assist.
Okay. And you spoke to him ahead of time, so when you got there, he's the first person you met with?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and everything was in order then?
I don't know about in order, but he was in communication with the airport police.
Okay. And did you relay to him that we are potentially getting a warrant on someone who has a flight? We are going to be here. There's going to be an FBI presence at the airport.
I don't know if I relayed those exact. I said there's going to be somebody we're trying to get a warrant for, but yes,
Yeah.
this is happening. This is where we're at with it, yes.
You have been an investigator for many number of years, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I haven't, and I'm sure my choice of words isn't necessarily going to be yours, but at the end of the day, that's what you had told it.
Pretty much, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in addition to you as an FBI agent being there at the airport, from the time you got there through the time that Mrs. Adelson was arrested, what other agencies were present and assisting?
Just Miami, I believe it's the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Department, who have officers that are assigned there. We did talk to, I believe I didn't talk to him. The other FBI agent talked to him, but I believe it was the U.S. Customs enforcement officers. They're plain clothes that work at the airport. I think they were there also.
At some point in that process, from your arrival to the time that she's arrested, did they assist you,
They did. They approached her on the jet bridge.
the U.S. Customs?
I believe they were U.S. Customs.
Just 1 second, please. the time that you left Tallahassee to go to Miami, were you aware that Donna Adelson's attorney had spoken to the state attorney's office about her ability to travel because there was no warrant?
No, it was not.
Were you aware that as part of this investigation, Mrs. Adelson's attorney was told that if they should get a warrant, that she'd be allowed to turn herself in?
Sustained, please approach.
We're caught up to the live, I think. So yeah. Oh, no we weren't. Almost caught up to the live. Now we're caught up to the live. He's just thinking, kill me now. Yesterday, a friend of mine came into the chat and she's like, why is this guy on the stand smirking so much? He's not smirking now.
Okay, might have lost my train of thought. May I approach the witness room?
You may.
Agent, special agent,
Either or.
titles don't matter to you?
That's fine.
Okay. Mr. Sanford, I'm showing you what's been marked for identification purposes of Defense Exhibit 60. Would you look at that for a moment before I ask you questions and just kind of review it?
Okay.
Have you seen that document before? To travel to Vietnam, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to get out of your space so you can have your own space and I'll ask you questions.
Okay.
Now, you would agree that's the visa that she obtained to go to Vietnam, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And it was good for entry, valid. Now, some of it's in Vietnamese, and I don't know Vietnamese. You may,
No,
but
ma'am.
it has it in English, the same information right near the Vietnamese language. Do you see that?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
And the visa was good for entry, valid from November the 13th, 2023, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and it was good until November the 2nd of 2024, right?
If the dates are read right, I would call that February 11th of 2024.
You know what? I forgot that they do it backwards. They don't have them in the same date order. I'm glad you pointed that out to me. So it was until February the 2nd
Yes, ma'am.
of 2024. And that's the 90 days, I guess, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Because it was a 90-day visa.
Correct.
And according to the visa, it was issued for the purposes of tourism, right?
See it now.
Okay, so it was for
Tourism. Yes, ma'am.
tourism, right?
Correct.
And the visa was issued, it said it was good for single/multiple entries, right? That's up near the top.
The top. Good for single/multiple entries. Yes, ma'am.
And what that means is it's not that she can travel to Vietnam and once she leaves, she can't come back, right? It means that she can come and go from Vietnam, right?
I'm not sure if that's what that means or not. I don't know.
You're not familiar with that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. May I approach? Thank you. So when you get to the agent there, what did you do next?
Tried to find out what terminal they were at, that they were flying out of, and trying to get to that area. It's a pretty big airport, so we tried to move to that area.
Okay. When you say we, it's this group that you've talked about, someone from the sheriff's office, someone from customs, and
It's
you're...
a lengthy process to get through security to go back.
Sure. And at some point, you got to the gate where they were going to be.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you sit down somewhere?
No, I don't believe I sat down.
Did anybody else sit down?
I don't recall.
So you all just kind of stood up around the area of the gate where they were going to leave?
I believe so.
Okay. And you knew what Donna Adelson looked like, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You know what her husband looked like, Harvey, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're there, you're going to obviously recognize them if they're in the general vicinity of the gate, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And at some point, you saw them.
Correct.
Okay. I ask you this, the warrant was actually obtained somewhere between 5 and 6, well, let me say it this way. It was obtained over 5, it was entered, but,
Time I was getting to the airports when I found out it was obtained.
okay. And when you travel back to where the gate is and you all go together, you said you didn't sit. Where were you with respect to the jetway?
We were down a little ways. It's hard to describe how it's set. And there's a middle section too, so we were on the back side. I didn't know if they knew what I looked like. I figured they did because they had seen trials and we knew that they watched the trials, so I figured they knew what I looked like, so I stayed away.
Did you stay away from the other folks who were participating, like off by yourself?
No, not necessarily.
All kind of together?
A couple of us were together.
Okay, I don't do a lot of travel, so you feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but when I have gone on an airplane, was this airport like, you get into a section, I forget what they call them, like the gates are at like different concourses, right?
It was a terminal. It
Terminal.
was a concourse. Yeah, either way.
Okay, either way, so a terminal, and when you walk down the terminal, are you describing that basically there's a walkway down to the end of the terminal, right? Like a kind of a middle row, if you will.
To the terminal where they're going to get on the plane, you mean?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know the terminology, but
I'm
when you're
sure.
walking down,
Why do they call it a terminal? If you're terminally ill, that means you're going to die. Why do they call it a terminal in an airport? That's scary.
towards the gate, there will be gates on one side and gates on the opposite side.
Correct,
Okay,
correct.
all right.
And
Sorry
there is
about that.
some, there's some other structures in the middle of this airport, in between the gates. So you had some walls, you had some little stores. So it wasn't just like a big open concourse.
Right, right.
Okay.
Little
I'm sorry. That's just how my ADHD brain works.
food shops along the way and
Sure.
magazines and all that kind of stuff.
Yes,
But the layout is basically you've got a walkway with gates on each side.
correct.
Okay, and so I just want to make sure I understood your testimony. Their gate would have been on the left or the right? If you don't
I don't
remember, it doesn't
recall.
matter.
I don't recall.
You don't recall. But your testimony is you kind of went opposite of where their gate was, where you could monitor them, but not be where they could see you necessarily.
Pretty much, yes. I wasn't really monitoring them. Somebody else was.
Okay, did you see them?
I did.
Okay, and when you saw them, were they seated, waiting for the flight?
I believe so.
I mean, the
Seated or standing, one of the two, but they were amongst the other passengers waiting to get on the plane in that area.
Okay, the flight wasn't scheduled to take off until 8:10 p.m., right?
That sounds correct.
Okay, so you were there for a couple of hours and the warrants issued, correct?
No, I didn't get there till about 6:30. So that's when I first arrived at the airport. By the time I got back there, they were pretty close. By the time I got through security, got everything, got back there, it was pretty close to boarding time.
Pretty close to boarding time.
Yes, ma'am.
But you saw them.
I did.
And were the other people who were participating, were they aware of what Mrs. Adelson looked like and her husband?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
They were at this point.
Okay. Was everybody in plain clothes?
Not everybody.
Who was not in plain clothes?
The uniform officers from
And-
Miami-Dade.
Was the officer standing with you all?
I believe he might have been, one of them was.
Okay. You pretty sure from where you are that she would not have been able to see this group of men, one of them with, I guess, insignia and gun and belt and all that? You're pretty sure that they wouldn't have been able to see?
Absolutely, yeah, there was no way they could see us where we were standing.
Okay. How long did you observe them before they started boarding the flight?
Guesstimating, maybe 20 minutes.
Okay. And what do you recall them having with them?
Some small carry-on items, I don't recall.
Okay. And they were dressed in normal clothes, right?
Correct.
They weren't disguised in any way?
No.
No wigs, hats, glasses?
Nope.
Okay. I'm sorry, what was your answer? How long you were there? You saw him for how long?
Maybe 20 minutes, I don't recall.
Okay.
Could have been longer.
Did you all travel to that vicinity together?
All of us?
Yes, sir.
No, I believe it was me and me and maybe the uniform officers. I think the customs officers were already there before we got there.
Okay.
There was only like 3 or 4 of us that walked together down there.
So somebody was already at the gate? Is that what
I
you're
believe
saying?
so, yes ma'am.
Okay, all right, so they had a couple of carry-on bags,
That's a hub.
right?
Yes ma'am.
And I might get the terminology wrong again, but when you
That's a
go, when they call you up and say, okay, you know, sections, whatever, you can board the flight, old people, babies, all that stuff, right? They have different calling periods, is that fair to
Sure.
say? Okay. So they started calling boarding for the flight. At some point, Mrs. Adelson and her husband got in the line to board the flight, is that right?
That's correct.
And you observed that, right?
Yes ma'am.
Okay. And they got in the line, and then they, at some point, I don't know what it's called, but they have to show their phone ticket or a physical ticket to somebody to make sure they can go on, right?
I think they scan it maybe, yes ma'am.
Okay, so that's where I call it like a little check-in place to make sure you got your ticket. I don't know what it's called. But then after you've shown your ticket, they let you by to board the plane.
Yes ma'am.
And the area between where they give their ticket or show their ticket and before they board the plane, is that what you're referring to as a jetway? Is that what you said?
Yes ma'am, after you scan the ticket in this particular airport, they're all different. This particular airport, they scan their tickets and they walk through these sliding glass doors, and it's like a tunnel that you walk down to go to the plane. Inside that sliding glass doors where the officers were standing waiting. The plainclothes customs officers were inside of that.
Okay, and that's where they were when Mrs. Adelson was arrested?
Correct.
Yeah, she went past the ticket into the jetway,
Yes ma'am.
not actually get on the plane.
No ma'am.
But you had the warrant before they got in line, right?
Correct.
And you watched them for however many minutes before they got called up to put their ticket in, right?
Yes ma'am, I wanted to get them not in a crowd of people, right in the middle of all these people. Wanted to get them kind of separated off, and after they're through the jetway, by themselves over there.
Well, before they started, when they got in line, then there are a bunch of people right there with them, right?
There were people there with them the whole time. There were people sitting around them.
Right.
Because it's very narrow seating
Right.
where they're sitting, and they were right in the middle of all these people, and then they got in line with all these people. Once they go one at a time, people are going to the plane. Once they went through, those officers just stopped them, pulled them to the side, away from the line, and just began speaking with them.
But when they go through the line, there's a line of people behind them going to get on the plane, right?
That's correct.
So when they go through, the glass doors are going to open, and that's where you're going to take her into custody?
Yes, off to the side. Yes, past them, where they're still getting on the plane, but we're past them.
Well, people are getting on the plane. They're coming by through the same general vicinity of where you took her into custody.
Sure.
And those same people were out there while you sat there for however many minutes watching her. Were you going to take her into custody there too, right?
Sure.
But you didn't.
No, ma'am.
You waited until she went through the little gate, and then you arrested her.
Yes, ma'am.
And when she was taken into custody, her husband was standing there with her, right?
Correct.
And you went through the little process that you went through, and you said they had 2 carry-on bags, right?
I believe so.
And in your investigation, you learned that with the 2 carry-on bags, they had maybe some additional luggage, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And
Checked luggage.
right, a couple of pieces, right?
Correct.
And in those couple of pieces, they had just regular clothing, right?
I assume, yes.
They didn't show up with boxes full of clothes.
No.
Okay. And
Well,
then,
I never saw the checked on luggage. I have no idea how much they checked.
okay. So in your investigation, you didn't learn that?
In my investigation, learn what?
That they only had 2 checked bags and 2 carry-ons?
No.
Okay. She obviously had her cell phone, and you've testified that you got that from her.
Yes, ma'am.
And you described this little interaction before she gave you the cell phone. She didn't fight with you, did she? Like, she wasn't swinging on you?
And she didn't try to hit me, no, ma'am.
You didn't have to take her to the ground and grab it out of her hands?
No, ma'am, I was very gentle.
Okay, you got the phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the phone is part of the evidence of what you went on, and somebody downloaded and looked to see what was on it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and her husband Harvey, he had some credit cards and a little bit of cash, right?
Mr. Adelson, I didn't search Mr. Adelson.
Okay. Did Mrs. Adelson have a bunch of cash? I need to ask counsel something about your ruling, Judge. Could I have just one moment?
Please approach.
He is so done. He's like, please stop it. Poor guy.
Bailiff will take you to the jury room,
Judy.
and you will finish the process.
We're talking about planes and turtles. I really appreciate you guys being here. I don't know what has happened to my channel
Everyone
the
can be
past 2
seated.
days,
We will
but
bring the jurors back in the next 5 minutes.
Nobody wants to
If anyone
watch
needs to
me.
use the restroom or stretch your legs, please do so now.
I love that you guys are here, though. Thank you. What are they doing now? Great. Why don't we just go to lunch now? One of the Disney streamers that I watch has a 3-year-old, and when they went to the Halloween party, they didn't really dress up. There's this thing because adults are not allowed to wear costumes at Disney except for the Halloween parties. But a lot of them do. Yes, Disney adults are weird. I don't want to wear a costume to the park, but there are actually some adults that would like to wear costumes to the park. So now Disney has this thing. It's called Disney Bounding. I don't know where they came up with that name, but they have, like, I have one shirt, little, almost like a skirt around the bottom of the shirt, and it's red, and it has like Mickey's buttons on the front of the skirt. So that would be Disney Bounding as Mickey. Oh, I know I'm stuck with you. I have no doubt that I'm stuck with you. So, although they could have dressed up for the Halloween party, they did the Disney bounding thing, and his wife, was dressed in a tan shirt, and she did her fingernails like turquoise blue, which is the color of Lady's collar and Lady and the Tramp. So she was like a tan shirt for her color, and then the turquoise nails, and he was in a brown shirt for Tramp's color. I had no idea what they were until he said that their little boy's favorite movie right now is Lady and the Tramp. So I am making it look. StreamYard is so rude. I was talking. So it looks like a peanut. It looks like a giant peanut. But this is going to be Lady's body. I guess when I put legs on it, it won't look like a peanut anymore. So I'm making his little 3-year-old son a lady. There's not a pattern for Tramp. It's just Lady. Just Lady, no Tramp. I don't know why. That's weird. Anyway. I mean, I get that yesterday was boring. I want to be here yesterday. But you would think people would have come back today to see if it's still boring. And I'm getting kind of worried about just because he hasn't been here all week. Or Flash, for that matter. They're my OGs. They've stuck with me for 2 years. I have 208 subs. I'm 300, 600 subs. StreamYard's getting on my last nerve now. I cleaned my cache and my cookies and everything this morning before I even started. So, yesterday I had 684 subs. Today I have 682. So I got 2 and then lost 2. I guess that's still good. Oh yeah, it is the Friday of holiday weekend. He works for a little, like, family-owned feed store, and he doesn't have vacation or 6 days or anything like that. When he is sick, he's been with him for a long time now, and he's super, super reliable. Never calls in sick or anything. When he does call in sick, he's sick. Like, he's gone to work sick, and they've sent him home. So if he's sick, he gets paid. But at the beginning, he didn't. But he doesn't have any vacation time or anything like that. But the guys that works there, he gets off every Friday and every other Saturday. And it always happens that when there's a Monday off, and this is never planned, it just always turns out that way. And he goes, yesterday, he goes, Sean got lucky again. I was like, you're kidding me. When there's a Monday off because of a holiday, his boss gets off on Fridays and that Saturday, and then the Monday off because of the holiday. So he gets Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off. And it falls like that every time there's a federal holiday on a Monday. It's crazy. It happens almost every time. And it'll happen on Thanksgiving too. Because Thanksgiving always falls on a Thursday. And he'll be off Friday. And then he'll be off that Saturday. So he'll get Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. And it drives Travis crazy. Because, like, Travis will get off Thanksgiving and then have to go to work Friday and then be off Saturday and Sunday sometimes. And he's like, why do I have to go to work on Friday? Why can't I just have Friday off and have all those days off? So, I mean, it kind of sucks, but in a way it's good because it is a small, like, there's only 3 of them. There's the guy that owns it and his son-in-law and Travis. So in a way it's good because, like, if I have a procedure or a surgery or whatever, he can just tell them, I need to take Debbie to the doctor. And they'll say, okay, just let us know when it's closer to the time. And then he'll tell them, like, a couple days before and then remind them the day before, and then they're fine. And they just let him take me to wherever. So, and they usually pay him for it. So that's good. And then there was that one time I was in the hospital after Spike bit me. It's crazy. You guys know how proud I am of the University of Florida and everything. I don't like the hospital. And it's the hospital I used to work in. I like the other hospital in town better. Because I swear, some of the nurses that work there, I'm like, where did you go to nursing school? Because they shouldn't have taught you that. I had a nurse come in and tell me, okay, so if your vitals are not great, you do what we call frequencies, which means you up the frequency of when you check the vitals because your vital signs aren't good. So they need to be monitored more closely. Okay, so, and they knew I was a nurse because I make sure the healthcare professionals know that I'm a nurse. Because I don't want them to try to, like, be pulling a fast one on me, like, talking jargon and stuff over in the corner thinking, oh, she doesn't understand what we're talking about. So I make sure they know that I know. So this nurse tells me in jargon, we're going to start doing frequencies on you. And I was like, so I started asking them, I'm like, well, what have my vitals been? And they told me, and I'm like, oh, crap. So I called Travis, and I'm like, you have got to come and spend the night with me. And he's like, why? What's going on? I'm like, my vitals are super bad. They're starting to do my vitals every 15 minutes, and I'm scared. It's really bad. You have to come stay with me because I don't want to be alone right now. Because I was in a private room because I was immunocompromised and they didn't want me to be around somebody that could give me, that was contagious, that could give me something. So I was in a room by myself and it had this nice pull-out couch, so Travis could sleep there with me. And so I called him. I'm like, you've got to come spend the night with me. So he told his boss. They weren't super happy because it was short notice, but they let him do it. He's like, I've got to go stay with Debbie because she's really sick and they're worried about her in the hospital and she doesn't want to be alone. And they let him, he was late to work. He didn't miss work the next day, but he was late to work and they were okay with it. So they've been really good to him. I'm blessed that he has a job that he can take off to take care of me when I need it. But no benefits. That's the crappy part.
Please be seated. You may continue with your examination.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just have a few more questions. Agent Stanford, these questions, I'm not asking for your belief or your opinion before direct evidence, okay?
Okay.
In your investigation, you found no direct connection between Donna Adelson and Sigfredo Garcia, correct?
Correct.
And you found no direct connection between Donna Adelson and Luis Rivera, correct?
Correct.
And Katie McBanawa has testified that, I'm going to ask you a question, but I'm leading up to it. Katie McBanawa has testified that she met Donna Adelson one time when she had a dental appointment at Adelson Institute and they exchanged greetings at the front desk. Besides that, there's no direct connection between Katie McBanawa and Donna Adelson, is there?
Correct.
You have emails, voice messages, text messages, and later recorded calls. Direct evidence on any of those things. Did Donna Adelson ever say that she wanted Danny Markel to be killed?
Those exact words?
Those words, did she say she wants him killed?
No.
Did she say she was planning to have him killed?
No.
Did she say she was hiring to have him killed?
No.
Someone to go and kill him?
No.
Did you say that she intended that he be killed?
No, she did not say that.
I don't have any further questions.
Oh,
You're right about the
inference,
state.
Jackie. Inference.
You didn't have any direct evidence, did you have any circumstantial evidence?
A lot.
A lot.
It's up to this jury to decide if the evidence is sufficient.
That's correct.
You were asked if you had any input on the timing of the arrest, and why did you arrest when you did? That wasn't your decision to make, was it?
No.
And when did you decide you had probable cause to make an arrest of Donna Adelson?
Personally?
It's beyond the scope of direct, Your Honor, and this is an opinion testimony.
Yes, it is. You were asked your
Hold
opinion,
on.
weren't you?
Sustain, Ms. Scuttleman.
You were not the person responsible for making that decision of when to go to Miami and put handcuffs on her, were you?
No, I was not.
Okay. You were asked about Charlie's defense. Wasn't Charlie's defense that he was being extorted? And was part of that defense that he brought his mother in on that, didn't he? He told her about it.
That's correct.
Okay, so they were both being extorted over the course of almost 2-year period before the bump, right?
That's correct. That's what he said.
Okay, and that's why she was writing those checks. She was being extorted.
That's correct.
And another part of that defense was that although they were being extorted, Catherine McBanawa, she was just cashing them and then giving the money to somebody else.
That's correct. That's what he said.
Okay, and that's needed to explain why he was so friendly with her, both in those calls, texts, and so forth, right?
It's all to explain everything, yes.
It's not typically going to be sending "I love you" text to your extortionist, right?
Correct.
So it was, oh, I didn't know she was in on it, but now I realize she is.
Correct. He realized it after the fact, so he said.
Okay, and the killers, according to Charlie Adelson, came to Tallahassee unsolicited, unprovoked. Nobody hired them. They came and just killed Dan Markel and then hoped to be able to get some money out of Charlie Adelson and Donna Adelson later.
That is what Charlie Adelson said.
Okay, and since Charlie Adelson didn't have enough money in his safe that night, the killers, through the mediator of Catherine McBanoa, agreed to put him on a layaway plan to pay this money over time.
That's correct. It was a layaway plan for the extortion.
Part of the checks that Donna Adelson signed were the layaway plan to the gang member extortionists.
That's correct. That's what he said.
All right. And you were asked also about
Members take
the
layaway?
bar mitzvah. Do you know when the bar mitzvah was?
I don't recall.
Okay. Would it refresh your memory to take a look at the defendant's planner for 2014?
Yes. So January 14th at 10:30 a.m. is Lincoln's bar mitzvah.
I'm sorry, I said 2014. That's not what I meant.
Oh, sorry.
What year was the bar mitzvah?
Should have been.
This is how I caused the confusion last time.
This would have been 2023, I believe.
Well,
No, I can't see it. Bar mitzvah.
sorry. Let me-
Sorry, you have something to
It's
refer
no
to.
problem.
Sorry.
What year did she
Oh,
try to board the plane?
yeah, 2023.
She tried to board the plane in 2023. We now know the bar mitzvah was scheduled to take place in January 2024, right?
Correct.
Okay, so it was a few months after she was scheduled to get on the plane.
That's correct.
And she knew that when she booked the plane because it's in the planner, right?
Correct.
Okay, so she knew if she was coming back for that bar mitzvah, she needed to be back no later than January 14th, right?
Correct.
Did she book a flight to return in time to attend the bar mitzvah on January 14th?
Not that I'm aware of.
It was a one-way ticket, wasn't it?
Correct.
Okay. There's nothing inherently illegal about traveling to Vietnam, is there?
No.
Okay, she didn't get arrested for going to Vietnam, did she?
No, ma'am.
I want to ask you about one other thing. The calls. You were asked about the snippets of the calls. That was Ms. Fulford's word, snippet. Did you participate in helping select the portions of the calls that we ended up publishing to this jury?
Some, yes.
All right. And what was the intent or purpose of selecting the portions that were selected?
So we didn't torture everyone with listening to constant Charlie Adelson and everybody else talking about things that are not relevant to the case.
All right. I mean, that was the goal. I'm not sure we accomplished it. But we made selections we thought would be helpful.
Correct.
Did we include what we thought was the appropriate context so that things would not be taken out of context?
That's correct, we did.
If the jury has concerns about that, are the totality of the duration of all of those calls that were played available on State's Exhibit 99 for them to review in the jury room?
They are.
All right, one moment, please. Nothing further, Judge.
Agent Sanford, you may finally step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Will he be recalled by either party?
Potentially, Judge.
You better run while the getting's good.
I'm going.
Members of the jury, we're going to take our lunch break at this point in time. Once again, I'm going to instruct you not to discuss this case with each other or any other person. Do not seek out any other outside information from the courtroom as well. Take a look at the clock. We'll resume at 1:45. Please report by 1:40. Enjoy your lunch break. Everyone can be seated. Before we go into the break, there is one record matter that I need to address with both the defendant and the attorneys. Ms. Adelson, if you please can rise so I can swear you in. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? You can lower your hand. Ms. Adelson, concerning these listed state witnesses for this afternoon, Patricia Bird and Drina Bernhardt, you have discussed with your counsel the cross-examination to be clearly heard.
Yes.
You also understand how the cross-examination strategy will fit into your theory of defense.
Couldn't hear who offense.
You understand how this cross-examination strategy will fit into your theory of defense for the case.
Yes.
And you have consented to this particular strategy.
Yes.
And Mr. Zellman, the matter that we discussed previously at sidebar, as to the strategy, there are no other issues that the defense needs to bring to the court's attention.
I'm confused.
Court's ruling previously reinforced this morning.
The attorneys approach briefly as well.
Okay, I'm confused. We're still on the state's case, but he just swore her in. And they're talking about strategies of cross examination of state witnesses. What? I do not know what is going on. Why does she need to be sworn in that? Who's is Charlie fixing to testify?
At this time, we will have our lunch break as well. The parties will need to report back by 1:40. Once the jurors are ready, we will continue with the remaining witnesses. Ms. Kappelman, as far as the number of witnesses that we still have remaining, the state intends to call them all today.
What's the original plan, Judge?
The state's today as to the last of the listed witnesses. The defense will need to be prepared to argue any on Tuesday as well if the state does not finish today.
Yes, sir. I believe our first witness is the one that's going to be flying from the West Coast. She'll be in town Sunday evening. We'll prep with her Monday, and she'll be here Tuesday. Her flight out, I don't think on Tuesday evening is until after 5, so we'll have plenty of time for her testimony.
All right, we'll resume at 1:40.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's weird. I've never heard a judge swear in a defendant and then ask that question before. So if Georgia's going to rest today, Georgia as in the prosecutor, not the state. If the state of Florida is going to rest today, that means Charlie has to be testifying today if he's going to testify. And I heard he was in Tallahassee, so that must mean he's going to testify. Why else would they transfer him to Tallahassee? So that must mean he's going to testify after lunch. Wow. Hopefully this will be more exciting than what we've had to been put through the last 2 days. So, okay, guys, I will see you at 1:40. 12:45. I guess. Why else? Well, now I know that Judge Kranick in Sarah Boone's trial continually asked her if she was okay with what her lawyers were doing, but that was a different situation. That was because Sarah Boone was never happy with anything any lawyer was doing, and he wanted to protect the record. Oh. I didn't even think about that. I honestly didn't even think about that. I just assumed he was testifying for the prosecution. I guess we'll find out after lunch. Okay, guys, I will see you at it's 12:45. I mean 12:40. He said 1:45, right? So, 1:45, I will see you guys back. Have a good lunch. Of course you do. She was really convincing on the phone with the undercover. But then for her to like just run and make all the phone calls and start talking in code and all, she knew exactly what was going on. She wasn't surprised. She wasn't, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, she knew everything. So, yeah, she was involved. Absolutely, she was involved. Okay, 1:45. Have a great lunch, and I will see you after lunch. Please join me again. Bye, guys.